All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another session of the Kava podcast, Masculinity session. Me and the jerk here tonight. We have a great show planned for you guys where we focus on male masculinity, self-improvement, and purpose. If you're looking for a way to join the panel, I know a lot of you guys always ask me how to join the panel. This is a virtual podcast. It's public. The link is in the description below on YouTube. Definitely come over to YouTube. On the description below, you'll be able to get the link to join us virtually on this show. So, as always, thank you so much for all the support. If you see value in the content, the best way to support the channel is to smash that like and subscribe button real quick. And don't forget, hey, what's up, Stan? I see you in the live chat. Let's get that live chat active. Let me know what you guys think. We'll also be having some ladies jumping on in the next hour to add the female perspective on the topic we'll be discussing tonight with the jerk. But as always, I do appreciate you guys reaching out to me. If you do want to ask a question or you want us to break down a topic, drop it through a super chat. We'll be able to respond to you guys. And of course, if you just want to donate to the channel, drop a super chat. I'll be able to give you a shout out. But thank you so much for all the donations. But that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. I'll pass it to you, Jerk. As always, thank you for always jumping on with me on the Mastermind, holding it down. And if you don't mind, give yourself a quick intro for everybody out there.
All right, y'all. It's the Sophisticated Jerk. You know, been over here rocking with Will for quite a time now. So definitely love the conversations. You know, living in the DMV area, senior procurement executive. And back to you, Will.
All right. Appreciate it, Jerk. Hey, the DMV, what does that stand for again?
It's DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the northern of the three states.
Oh, okay. That's where all the rich people live?
No. There's a lot of low lives over there too. Oh, a lot of jobs, but yeah, there is. It's like mixed.
No, I saw a lot of. I saw some a couple girls' profiles. They had the DMV on there, so I was just wondering. I remember you said. I remember you said DMV, but I just was wondering what it stood for. So
yeah, it's a costly area, but you know, because it's like all the government agencies, so there's a lot of companies around there and stuff that cater to the government. So yeah, that's why I'm saying a lot of jobs, high paying jobs around there.
Okay, all right, for sure.
We trying to get like y'all in the Bay, man. We trying to get our weight up over here.
No, you don't want to get you don't want to become the Bay.
But shout out to Stan, Mr. My Body, My Choice.
Mr. My Body, My Choice. Stan, good to see you guys. But yeah, we have another great show planned for you guys, and we got some ladies joining us within the hour. Stan, as always, thank you so much. Seeing your support on the live chat, get that live chat active. Let me know what you guys think. But we'll go right into it. The topic we're going to be breaking down with the jerk tonight on the masculine mind is masculine leadership controlling. So I saw this video on TikTok. I kind of want to break it down with you. It's related to the topic.
Yeah, let's pull it up.
I'm gonna play the video and I'll come back to you,
all right,
Jerk. And hey, Coach Shante, I just saw you in the background. It's gonna be at 8:00 p.m. The panel ladies are gonna jump on at 8:00. So just come back within an hour, and then that's when all the ladies are gonna join, and then I'll be able to add you to the panel. All right, I'll see you soon, Coach. All right. So this is the video I saw.
Masculine a man is, the more controlling he's going to be. This does not mean that he's going to be insecure. This means that he's always looking to protect you. That's why he always pays attention to everything that you do, because he's always looking out for your best interest. If you're not used to a man like that and you don't trust him, you're going to see it as controlling. You're going to think he's trying to take over your life. But in reality, he's just a true alpha, and that's just how they are built. So if you trust this man, if you know that this man loves you, if you know that he wants to give you everything, if you know that you can be led by this man, listen to this man and trust this man, because he's only looking to elevate you and position you in a better place. And a great way for you to realize this is to ask yourself, whenever he's trying to redirect you, is this for my benefit and the benefit of this relationship? And if the answer is yes, there you have it.
All right. So what's your take? What's your response on that clip, Jerk?
I think she was spot on. You know, I think that's the mindset you need to sometimes have. Don't get me wrong. You should always be cautious. And we preach this. Like even last night, we were talking about it. Like everybody's not a leader, so I think women need to move with intention. And you know, like what Dane was kind of breaking down. Like, hey, man, a guy that's like got that leadership and he's doing it for the right reasons. You know, he's not scared to earn that trust. You know what I'm saying? He understands that, you know, even if you work in, you know, regular jobs and stuff, you have the approach of with your people, like a servant leadership, where it's just like, hey, I'm going to earn your trust. You're going to be coming in the right way, where people could kind of spot that. So I think the lady in the video, she has the right mindset where she's looking at it like, you know what, if I select the right guy and I have my criteria, my standards and stuff, and I'm saying I want somebody that's better than me, that got their stuff together, why would I not take some advice from that person that I bring into my life? Because, you know, they are there for, you know, to try to uplift me, try to uplift the family and stuff. So I think sometimes, you know, and we were kind of getting to it in the live yesterday where I'm like, y'all know y'all are asking about for guys that's like equal or better. So it's like, why would you want equal and better to pull that into your life, to challenge it all the time? And not to say like the guy shouldn't be coming up to the female and getting her input, because I think you should. It's just like where I was breaking down yesterday. If I move intentional and I get a smart woman, then of course I'm going to be sitting there getting her feedback and picking her brain on certain things. And like I said, even my wife, she does make a lot of decisions too, because I think that's how the household should break down. Is just like you select the right person and then you kind of tag team it to become more efficient and stuff like that. Because, you know, if one person is just kind of making all the calls, then that's micromanaging. You know, companies don't even do that. You have CEO, COO, CFO, they delineate those roles for a reason. So one person doesn't have to get jammed up making all the decisions all the time. So I think the lady in the video, she's just like, she's moving the right way because she's looking at it, like I said, just like, hey, if I made the right decisions and I got the right guy, he's looking out for my best interests and he gives me some constructive criticism and feedback, why would I not take it and see it as controlling and stuff? So yeah, I think she was spot on in that video.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out to Manny.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jerk, and shout out to Manny. Why does Will look so angry? It's just my normal face, brother. It's just my normal face. No, yeah. So I kind of want to break down why do you think that women? That's one thing I've learned just doing this podcast with the panel of ladies, and Jerk, you've been on multiple panels on my podcast before. But as I know, every single time when we have the discussion of leadership, or we bring up the man is the leader, or he's going to be leading the woman, the first response of every woman is, "Oh, I don't want him. I don't want that man to control me." So we've gotten to a point where women, there's the word leadership is synonymous to controlling. So as soon as we say the word lead, the first response or reaction or thought that comes to women's mind is, oh, controlling. You know, if a man wants to become a leader, and of course, there's a lot of extreme views. I've had one woman on the panel before said, men only want to become leaders is because they want to control the woman. So I kind of want to break that down real quick, because at the end of the day, that's something that we always have to kind of break down and distinguish to a lot of women out there, especially if you're watching this right now on the show. You know, there's good leadership and there's bad leadership, right? So just because a man wants to become a leader doesn't necessarily mean he wants to control you. You know, men who are good leaders, you know, have the good qualities, good moral character, truly love and respect their woman. You know, they're not trying to force you to do things that you don't want to do, right? So the difference between a man that's a leader and a man that's not a good leader, one of the differences that you can kind of notice or distinguish this guy, if a guy can't lead, if he's trying to force you to do what he wants you to do, right? So I think a lot of women have gotten to a point where they don't really, you know, they've been convinced by feminism. There's a breakdown in the family in America where there's not a lot of strong, there's not emphasis on fathers staying around and being strong, good role models for their kids. But we got to a point where whenever we talk about male leadership, even though that's what women want, women would say, I want a man to lead. I want a man to have a purpose, have a goal, to be ambitious, to have drive. I want him to motivate me, to push me, and encourage me. I want to learn. I want to learn from this guy, man. Just by describing this very dude, this guy, this guy is, quote unquote, the man, right? They want the man in their life, but at the same time, we saw that yesterday with Jane. I want a leader, but at the same time, I don't want him to tell me what to do. So I think there's a lot of social conditioning, especially from feminism, progressive perspective, that they've convinced women that because I know there is a war on masculinity, there is a war on men, and there's a breakdown on the family by society. So they've convinced millions of women, a majority of women, that the only reason why a man would want to become a leader in your life is because they want to control, suppress women, right? So, but that's not the case, because that's a man who doesn't know how to lead. But men who are good leaders, that love their families, they appreciate their woman, they're all going to take that responsibility of being a leader, to make decisions, to plan for the future, to set the foundation and boundaries, and protect their relationships, to be a provider, protector. But I kind of want to break that down real quick for you, and just want to ask you, what do you think? Because why have we got to a point, even though we all know that's what women want? Because women would say every single time, do you want a leader? 99% of the women would say yes, unless they're feminists or they have blue hair. If they have blue hair, they definitely pink, any colored hair, they're not. They don't want a leader. They want the simp. But we all know men want strong men. They want competent men. They want masculine men. Women have said this over and over again on the podcast. We know this not only from their own life experience, but also their biology will also tell them, like, this is what you want from a biological perspective. But I kind of broke it down a couple of reasons. I think feminism, I think social conditioning. I think there's a breakdown in family where women don't see strong male leadership. So they've never seen it in their life growing up from their own father, from their own family, from their own childhood. So they can't recognize what good leadership is. And I think there's a lot of men out there, and I agree with you, Jerk. There's a lot of men out there who don't know how to lead. So they just assume, oh, I'm a male, so you have to follow what I have to say, or you have to listen to what I say, or you have to obey me just because I'm a male, even though I have no purpose, no goal, no vision. I'm not. I don't have my life together. But there's a lot of guys out there just expect women to follow them, to follow their leadership just because by default they're a male, which is not something that I encourage women out there. They have to earn your submission to their leadership. But why do you think, Jerk, that today that we have gotten to a point when every single time we have the discussion with women about male leadership, even though we all know that's what they want, the first thing that comes out their mouth, their first response or their initial reaction is, oh, controlling. All right, but I think controlling is the right word, because I was just reading it. I was just looking up the definition of controlling is the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events, which is, that's what a leader does. He has to redirect.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad word, man. In people's mind, man, they make words bad. But like you said, yeah, in a way, like any leader, whether it's at your job or, church, social group, if somebody's got some leadership role over you, they controlling you in a bit. But it's one of those trigger words for people that don't actually look up the words and stuff. But you spot on. You are kind of doing it to a certain degree. But I think it's like four things and you kind of covered some of them. So I'll say one of them, people probably look at, controlling as bad because of their past experiences. So they probably selected the wrong guy. Like we always talk about in relationships, they didn't move with attention. So they got the wrong guy based off of like physical attraction, materialistic, he had money, I wanted that. And so when they got that guy, that person was controlling because they didn't vet for character or anything else. So that's what they experience. So now it's just like, oh, every guy's like that, you know, because they moved bad. They're not willing to kind of self-reflect and take accountability and be like, you know what, I just made a bad decision. I didn't check for no character. So that was just that incident. Let me move different next time. So they just apply that across the board, like with everything. And like you said, so, you know, there's guys like us. This is like, hey, nah, we look at leadership as like guidance, like you said, influence a little bit and trying to push everything in the right direction. I say the second part is honestly, a lot of people are just rebellious by nature. I think that's human nature to a certain part where we just have that little bit of rebellious nature where it's just like, and that's why I was kind of giving some pushback yesterday. Cause I was like, some people, man, they in their mind, like when you ask them that question, like, hey, do you want a masculine man that, you know, has all these traits? I think in social settings, the politically correct thing to say is yes. But deep down inside, when, you know, they're pushing back on stuff, they don't want a leader. You know, they want, a lot of people don't like structure. Structure's hard for a lot of people, you know, and that's where we talk about a good leader brings like that type of structure. So a lot of people like moving chaotic, you know, we seen it at work. You know, you got them people who can't be on time. They operate all messed up. So it's just certain people just don't like structure. In their mind, they want it. But, you know, like the reality is like they don't want it. So they're going to be combative in some situations. And even if they had the greatest leader in the book, they're going to push that person away. So I think that's one part. And then I just think the last part, I just think a lot of people just ain't being honest with themselves. I don't think they really sit down and properly analyze like their self, like their temperament, like, damn, am I a good follower? Because that's the other piece. It's like, hey, I could, like I was kind of mentioning before, it's like, shit, you could give me all the great leaders, but if I'm kind of like stubborn, I don't like structure, you know, I kind of want to be the boss of stuff, like I'm a challenge everything and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, you might not really want to get a masculine man. And that's why I challenge some females sometimes. I'm like, do you think you really want a masculine? Maybe you need to get like a more feminine guy. Not the most attractive that pedestalize you, because some of them, that's what they kind of want, you know, to be kind of worshipped to a certain degree. So I think people need to sit down and really analyze what they want and kind of align with that versus just like, let me get this leader, this guy that's like we said yesterday, equal or better. And then, you know, I'm going to get with him and then I'm going to challenge everything. Even though if he's a good man, he's exhibit them traits, it's not going to last. So it's just like, you're just going to waste your time. You're going to waste his. So you got to kind of sit with yourself and see what you actually want. Because like the girl in the clip, you know, she was breaking it down. She saw it as a growth process, like getting with a man with those characteristics. So some of them don't want growth, you know, even though they'll say it, but their actions show that they don't want it. And even when, you know, like during the live yesterday, it was like, nah, you know, I want to do what I want to. I want to have guy friends. I want to have this. I want to have this. It's like, well, you better get with that beta guy and suck it up. But, you know, that's the flip side, too, where it's just like they'll get with that guy and they'll be like, oh, you're weak. You let me do what I want to. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a cycle of disaster because it's like they're going to get with the beta guy. They're going to run over him. But he's like, oh, you're weak now. OK, I'm going to get with the guy with the great leadership. You know what? You're controlling and you're too strict. So it's just like some people are just, like I said, chaotic by nature.
Hey, what's up, Stan?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's good?
What's good, Stan? No, I agree with you. I do agree that maybe there's a lot of women out there who may be rebellious nature. I would also agree because there's this the narrative to be the independent mentality a lot of women have. That's something that's been pushed online for a long period of time. You know, be independent. You know, I don't need a man. So I can understand why a lot of women, when they come into relationships, they're coming in from an independent mentality instead of an interdependent mentality, which is, you know, that's what relationships are. You have to depend on one another. But I think they're coming from a different mentality. But I just think there's a lot of women out there. I do know that they are looking for a leader. Their biology will also tell them that they're looking for strong, competent, masculine men. But I just think that the way we see society is and the breakdown of family, a lot of them have never seen like strong male leadership from their upbringing. And I think I've seen a lot of, I think the parenting, when it comes to the parenting of, I think that's kind of weakened throughout generation from generation. I've seen a lot of content online, like parents don't, they want to be best friend. This whole thing, I want to be my best friend with my kids. Like, what the fuck is that? You're not, as a parent, your job is not to be their best friend. Your job is to be a parent, a father, a mother. But I think the level of parenting, so I think there's a lot of women out there being raised that they can just do whatever they want to do. Their father never had, the structure in place, like you mentioned before, to put that structure early in her life. So she grew up with men who had never put that structure in her life, so she can do whatever she wants to do. So, they get older, reality hits, and then once reality hits, whether they're struggling financially, whether they're broke, whether their life is falling apart, they need to be saved, or they get knocked up and then looking for a man to come save them. That's when all of a sudden they're looking for that structure. Now I want that strong male leadership. But
Yeah.
if you've never played, like, Stan, you played sports before?
Mm-hmm.
All right, team sports, Jerk, you too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've never played team sports before, if you've never played team
I
sports,
was like Kobe back in the day.
Let
me stop
right?
playing.
It's hard. Like if you've never played team sports your whole life, and all of a sudden you get thrown into a team sport where you have to play a role. It's not about you, and you have to understand your role and what kind of role do you play to support for the overall benefit of the team, not the individual success. So I think a lot of women has been playing like this single mode their whole life, and they've never had that structure in place. But I think when reality hits, especially when it comes to dating market, as they get older, their lifestyle's falling apart. They have kids. The baby daddy isn't around. All of a sudden, they want that leadership, but they've never played. They've never played a team sport before, or they've never been in a situation where they followed any kind of male figure or male leadership their whole life. So they don't know how to do it. So I think leadership is a skill, but I think also following is a skill as well. You have to be a good follower as well. So I think a lot of women have, because they live very independent lives and because it's a reflection of the society we live in and the breakdown of family, they're not really good followers themselves. So even though they want their strong male leadership, even though their biology is telling them that I want strong male leadership, but they're not really, they don't have the strong habits and mentality of being a good follower, especially the role a woman plays to be complementary to a man, especially to a masculine man that has his life together and is going to lead you. So, but I do agree. There's some rebellious women. There's some chaotic women. There's some toxic women out there. They're not. Regardless of the structure you put in place, they're always going to seek the opposite. But I think there are also some good women out there. But I just think that they're being conditioned by society to be individualistic, and they're not used to being in the structure of a man that has a boundary and their values. So, and then of course we add the feminism, all the trends that we see on social media that's kind of dehumanizing the standards of men, the preferences of men, the things that we want in a relationship. So that's kind of being drilled into their minds. So anytime that we talk about our preferences, and we saw that last night, with one of the ladies, right? When she said that it was controlling when the man sat her down and talked about the things that he didn't like in a relationship. She said, "Oh, that was controlling." But I was just trying to tell her, wait, him sitting down and telling you the things that makes him uncomfortable in a relationship, that he's trying to communicate that to you. Is that controlling, or that's just him trying to set boundaries with you? I think there's a difference, but we've got to a point where women just, because of all the social conditioning, especially the things that the big war on masculinity to make everything about the male nature or the male need or the male preferences or the male perspective to be bad. A lot of women, when you mention, that's why we know every single time we talk about male leadership, all our preferences, the first thing they come, oh, you just want to control me. You just want to control me. But we really have to break it down to them like a child. The definition of controlling, the definition of the words leadership, the qualities, and then finally, maybe through a long breakdown of conversation, then they get it. But but it's a podcast, but they still have to apply that in their real life. So I I'll pass it to you, Stanley. What's her take? Why do you think a lot of women just when we talk about male leadership, like they automatically their response is controlling?
I think I'm going to say this in the nicest way as possible. If you don't like it, it's because you need to draw within yourself and find the masculinity within, ladies. Because that's where it's at. Women are the new men. No, straight up. They don't want to listen to us. We're just guys and we're stupid and that's it. And we have nothing to offer except for lifting stuff, fixing stuff, and paying for stuff. And that is our role. Because if you speak out, you're sassy. Other than that, they want you to be quiet.
Yeah.
And unless you have money, if you're an NBA player, okay, they'll follow you. You're a rapper, they'll follow you. If you're a minister, power, prestige, they'll follow you. If you are owner of a tech firm, they'll follow you. I don't know what else to tell you guys other than I'm going to put this on leadership itself, that whole term leadership. So, all honesty, when we look at that term leadership, for me, it becomes a joke because it's nothing else but a boss who don't care about your well-being. And I think this falls on people who are leaders to understand there's a trend that they have caused, that people look at leadership like a negative. Not saying anybody in the panel, but I think overall, we keep on hearing leadership, leadership, leadership. But what we see is somebody that's selfish, somebody that throw me underneath the bus, somebody that doesn't do development, somebody that put me on quote unquote performance review, which does not mean that they care about my goals in the company. It means I'm going to get fired, which to me is like, yo, that's kind of crazy to do that.
Shout out to Stan for being a bad worker.
No, I'm just saying because I was a manager. My goal when I managed people was to make sure they took over my job so I can go on vacation because it didn't make sense for me because I'm on salary. So they're getting overtime. They make more money than I did. And I'm supposed to lead you. So I'm saying, okay, if you're making more money than me, I need to make sure that you run this place so I don't get on call because I need to go on vacation, right? And that's the whole thing about even like in leadership, you have to let go of power because you want them to grow and they become managers and they could become directors and that's the whole thing is about growth, right? And it's like letting go of power and giving them power so they can also lead. But I was raised in a different type of leadership. From what I see now, a lot of people are disgruntled when they hear that word leadership, and this male and female, because of what goes on in the private sector. It's not private sector meaning like in work, what goes on in work. Because when we hear that word leadership, it's like, oh, you just a boss, and I better do what you say because I'm going to have an appointment with HR, and you're going to kick me out of here.
But Stan, let me ask you a question because it sounds like you kind of got that servant leadership. Like you said, you're looking at it as I'm gonna, kind of groom the next person to replace me. I'm not scared of like losing my job. Yeah. Did you still get pushback from employees, even having your approach? Like
they didn't know. They didn't know I was doing that. They literally did not know that I was doing that. Just giving responsibility.
But I'm just saying, so like with that, even with that, I'm pretty sure just like knowing your demeanor, you're always calm. You know how to communicate and stuff like that. Did you still get pushback, even having all those like qualities and stuff?
No, because it's a way of like, hey, I need your help, and I was like honest, like, hey, I need this. I see this skill. Can you help me out with this? And also, there was a bartering system. Like, yo, did you need some days off? Like, what do you need? What will make it better, right? Because the other side of leadership is to serve. It's not to serve me. It's to serve. Like, even when I was in church and I handled the singles ministry, I serve the parishioners of church, making sure that they got what they needed. At the same time, if I need something, I know where else to go. And I think a lot of times when somebody wants to be a leader, they just see it as like, I want to be the man and I want to be the boss. What's up, D?
What's up, y'all?
And
Dame
I
Dollar.
think like real leadership, I mean, like not real leadership. It's like there's so many different types of leadership. But if we're looking at women being scared of leaders, and also men don't like leadership either, because the men they find out they got a female boss, some of them are like they're gonna make it hard for her, and they're gonna leave. So I'm seeing like people don't like that term leadership on both sexes, both genders. They just don't like it.
I would say I don't mind. I don't mind women being leaders in the workplace. I've had female managers, as long as they're competent and they can do the job. I don't have a problem with women being in leadership roles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
me
had
neither.
great female leadership.
But
I
I
had
would,
great.
and
But there's
I
some
hate
men they don't like it.
and I hate to say this. Most female managers I've come across, they're not really good at being leaders of men. So that's one of the things I just noticed in my own experience. So I know there are good female managers out there are CEOs, and there are successful women out there. But in my personal experience, most of the female managers I've had, I think probably one. I think one in my entire life I met was pretty good. Had conviction. She didn't take shit from nobody, but she was also a leader. She had good habits. She led by example. But most of the female managers I had were just they didn't like confrontation, especially when they had issues with with the employees, with the team, and they always avoided the conflicts or the having direct conversation with one of the team members. And sometimes I would have to, as either me or somebody else on the team would have to fix their issue. That's something that they should have done as part of their responsibility.
But Will, even with guys, that's a rare quality, like you were saying. Guys have that issue too, where they don't like confrontation.
No, I agree. I'm just saying is most of the managers I've had, I have good managers, bad managers, both male and female, but I would say majority, more than 50% of the guys that were male leaders were pretty good. But I would say majority, probably like 80-90% of the female leaders I had in my own of all the jobs I've ever worked, they just weren't really good. So it's not because I looked at them and like, oh, I hated her just because she's a female and she's my manager. It's just I just hate it when they're not doing their job as their leader, as a manager, and it affects everybody. So that's the one thing I would say to that. But Damien, thank you for jumping on.
What's up, y'all?
Like Stanley said, we got Damien in the house. But we were just talking about why do you think we've got to a point? We were just continuing the conversation from last night, but we've got to a point where even though we all know that women want strong masculine leadership, we've been on so many panels before. Every single woman says the same thing. They want a good masculine man, purpose-driven, has a vision, has a plan. But every single time we have the conversation, we talk about the topic of leadership, masculine leadership. I would say 99% of the time, the first thing that comes out their mouth is, "Oh, I don't want to be controlled," or like last night from Jane, "I don't want to be told what to do." So,
Yeah.
why have we got to a point where women say, "I want a strong male leadership," but as soon as we, as men, we come and say, "Okay, I want to become a leader," we bring up the conversation of leadership. The first thing they would say is, "Oh, I don't want to be controlled or be told what to do." What do you think?
We're gonna have to start calling Dame the black Bobby Flay up there. He was cooking yesterday.
Nah. It's just, man, it's a lot of trial and error. that's what it was. I failed as much as much as I've succeeded. So I think the thing is this: I think we've touched on it before on your podcast, where it's like it hasn't been significantly exhibited enough in their life for them to recognize it and to be comfortable kind of giving up the role of leadership, giving up, surrendering control to certain aspects of their lives to a man or what have you. I think that if we as men, we groom the next generation of men to be better leaders, and they are portraying themselves as leaders and acting like leaders and developing those qualities early on, women will start seeing it early on, and it'll be easier for them to kind of fall into line or what have you, fall under a man's cover, because it's just like, one of the things I said last night was like, dudes really think I should be the leader because I got a dick, you know, and which is why these women are rebelling against it. It used to be enough back in the day, but now because they have agency and they can do things and get things for themselves, it's going to take more than just the fact you got a dick to show them that you've earned the right to be a leader. And that's the main point that I like to stress, is like, you got to earn that right. You through consistent good decisions, being stoic and having good ideas, and that's going to move you guys forward. You can't just be like, you know, I'm walking in day one, like, I'm going to lead you. Be like, well, where? How you going to get there? Where we going? Who driving? You know, that kind of shit. You know, you kind of got to develop those leadership skills in order to put them into practice, and for women to feel comfortable falling behind you.
I had a question for both Jerk and Damien. I know both of you guys are married.
But real quick before you jump into that question, I wanted to piggyback off of something you said earlier, because we were talking, and it was one of the things where you said, like, people, like, we were talking about growing out of the data market, because, you know, it's like people would be somewhat rebellious, and then they don't really want leadership, so they'll, you know, keep dating and don't really determine what they want. And then, you know, when they hit a certain age, it's like you said, something happens. It's like, okay, let me go find that leader now. But I don't think a lot of, you know, females understand that, like, when guys start getting more experience behind them, you know, they're starting to build up, the tolerance is a lot lower. The patience is lower. So, I think sometimes we do got to give pushback, and that's why I brought up the follower thing, because it's just like, do men need to improve on leadership? I think so, but I do think that there's a lot of rebellious people, and then a guy that's a good leader, like what we talk about on this channel, say, like, if we was all single, we was out there and some rebellious women, we're not gonna stick around. We'll have a simple conversation. You see them red flags, you out of there. So I don't think they understand that a lot. Like, a guy that got his stuff together is not even going to entertain a lot of stuff. He's out that door, you know. So I think we got to emphasize that, you know, also.
I think, but when women get fooled, is because they think access is the same thing as just you have access to guys who their ideal, or the guys that they want. That's the same thing. But those two, as them person trying to get in a relationship and trying to invest in you. That's what I was the word I was looking for. Access is not investment. You know, they can, the dude to come and smash you and hook you up. If he sees, if like you were saying, if we were out there and what have you, and I meet a girl and I saw she has none of the qualities I want long term, and I feel like she's would be a headache if I were in a relationship with her, yeah, we'd probably just hook up or whatever, and that'd be it. She'd gain access, but I would never invest any real resources or energy into trying to build in anything with her. I think that's what, you know, women get confused a lot. It's like, you need to recognize guys who see you as valuable and see you as being want to build with you, or are going to want you to kind of, like, you know, bring more to the table than just how you look or sex or whatever like that. They're going to want you to bring significantly more, because it's a significant amount of investment that we're going to put into you.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Jerk. I think, I mean, there is a discussion where there are a lot of men out there who need to improve and become better leaders. There's a lot of men out there who can't lead, but I would also put the same emphasis on women. There's a lot of women out there that can't, that don't know how to follow. So I think we live in an age today with independent women. I don't need a man. I think a lot of women have lived their whole life with the independent mentality that they don't need men, and they're living their whole life that way. And being in and out of relationships, you know, casual sex, hookup culture, but then eventually they do want to settle down, and they do want a man to come into their life and become a leader. And if we're talking about a man that's effective in his ability to lead, you have to be a good follower. He's not going to be the one submissive and letting you do whatever you want to do. So, and I do agree with you with the age thing. I think age plays a factor. I think for both men and women, the older we get, the more stubborn we get and unwilling to make changes in our lives. I think when we get older, especially pushing 30, 40, 50, it's hard for us to change as we get older. I'm not saying it's possible. I'm just saying when we get older. But I think for the men, we have an advantage because women want us to lead. So they have to come to our plan, like Damon said. They have to take our deal because we're the one leading. So we have an advantage where we don't really necessarily need to kind of make any changes as long as the woman accepts what we offer them, the deal we offer them, and they'll be like, okay, I'll take that deal. But for women, they because they're the follower, they have to be the one to adjust to what the man's plan or the deal that he's giving her. So, and if you're unwilling to make adjustments as a woman, especially as you get older, most guys as they get older, they're not going to tolerate. They have less tolerance to deal with that. So, and as a woman, you're going to have less tolerance as well because you're an older woman. It's just not going to work out because you have to. A man that's going to lead and is unwilling to be the submissive one is not going to compromise his boundaries and his morals and his values. He is not going to tolerate those women who try to come into their life and try to dictate the terms of his leadership. That's not going to happen. So, unfortunately, their only option is be single or go be with the simp and go with the guy that they can control. But that's not going to work out long term either because they're going to disrespect that guy.
They're going to despise him.
Still end up going back to the streets. So.
I think another question for both of you guys. I'll ask you all the guys in the panel. Could you guys describe? And I'm taking notes of everything.
You can watch the video. You can watch the video back.
I just take notes. But I noticed something, right? We talk about like when men get older, they get stubborn. But is it that we understand
both men and women?
But you understand, but we understand the value of discipline, and we already know that when we exercise discipline, we get results, right?
Yeah,
but then you look at younger women, they like older men because of the discipline, and they understand that the value of being with somebody that's older and disciplined and having structure benefits them.
Yeah. One of the things that I think happens a lot, and when we on the panels and we bring ladies up here, or you on doing your Saturday show, you talk to the ladies and you ask the question, do you want a masculine man who's going to be a provider for you, what have you, or lead you? And some people like give some bullshit pushback or whatever, but most of them say yeah. I think what they're confusing, because when you really start to drill down, and you're pretty good at this, you start to drill down, what they want is comfort. They don't necessarily want leadership. So there's a few women who really, really want a traditional leadership, because what they want is comfort, or they want some type of 50-50 kind of decision by chorus situation where both people make equal decision, which is fine. I'm like, that's probably the majority of relationships are in that exact dynamic. I don't think they have a real concept of what traditional leadership is, as well as contemporary. Now it's we both are leaders, or sometimes I lead and sometimes you lead, kind of stuff like that. I think we need to figure out who, like, okay, when we ask that question, do you want that type of relationship? Be like, okay, what do you know what that means? Because then we end up having to try to explain what that means to them. Because they think they know, but they don't really know. They don't know it means that, okay, a person is going to have agency over the way you dress, how you post, and things like that, because he's going to invest all this resource. He's going to invest his body and mind, and he's going to resources into making sure your life is easy. So you got to make sure his life is stressful. Like this, it was this one saying that that this one lady said, this traditional woman said, it's like, my husband takes care of the outer world, and I take care of his inner world. And I was like, and that's I think that resonated a lot with me. It was like, because that means she understood what he needed to feel comfortable in the situation and feel appreciated by doing all these things that he's out doing, while he's taking care of the rest of the world, making sure it's safe and secure for him, and easy.
No, to add on to what Damien said, the women that want the only way a woman can be able to make the traditional masculine leadership work is that she has to have seen that at some point in her life already. So she already understands that dynamic. So typically women who are very religious, or they come from a very conservative background, and they grew up with the structure of masculine leadership, it's natural for them, it's easy for them to transition into that dynamic when they finally meet a man that can lead I believe that one of the reasons why a lot of women, and I've mentioned this earlier before you guys jumped on, the reason why there's a lot of pushback for women, especially modern women, when we talk about masculine traditional leadership, is that they've never seen that in their entire life. So if you grew up with the father that was very conservative, had boundaries, hey, make sure you be conscious of how you dress, how you represent me and the family. If you grew up that as a young girl, you're used to that. So when you meet a man that's traditional, it's not gonna be a hard transition. There's not gonna be a lot of pushback because it's something that you're used to. But I think a lot of women today have never seen that in their whole life, and all of a sudden a man's gonna come. They're gonna meet a man, and it's gonna finally put those boundaries on her, and she's gonna accept that willingly. I think that's gonna be hard for them to accept it unless they've got to a point where they're constantly failing with their relationships, and they really want that, and they make the changes and do the work. I think those women can finally attract those types of men. But I just think a lot of women. I think you mentioned it before, Damon, on the previous podcast. A lot of women they don't even know what masculine leadership is besides the conversations that they see online.
Yeah.
We talk about male leadership all the time, but they've never experienced it in their life personally. So they still have no idea what that is, how that feels, the sacrifices needed, the things that you have to do, the work that needs to be done. So, it's easier said than done. We can talk about male leadership and being a good follower. I know a lot of women will come on the panel and talk about how submissive she is, but you don't know. You don't really know how submissive you are as a woman until you agree to do something for your man that is something that you disagree with, but you trust him already.
Yeah, she'll have all these criteria to be conditional submission.
Because I would say part of it being a good follower is that the leader has built trust within you, that you're not always going to agree in everything that person does, whether it's a he or she, but you still trust that person. You know what, they made consistent good decisions to lead me to get to this point of in life, so I will keep trusting this person. But I think women, I don't think women have personally seen that in their life, so that's why it's hard for them. That's why oftentimes we talk about male leadership, and when women would say, "Oh, when we talk about our preferences and the things we want about the way they dress, or the type of friends they hang out with, or the type of activities they do with their single friends," that's why they always have pushback. Oh, why are you trying to limit me? Why are you trying to suppress me? Why are you trying to take away my freedom? That whenever women tell me that, that's how I know, oh, you've never experienced this in your life. Because if you did experience that in your life, then you will understand every single thing that we talk about as men on this panel.
Yeah. And it's funny because they've probably experienced where a dude was overbearing, and like you use a great word, tyrannical with it, and it wasn't too. And here's how women, like, if you want to know if it's this person is if this man is worth following, if the decisions that he's making have just a reason behind it that benefits the both of you, not just him. If I say, I don't want you wearing that dress because I'm insecure and I think you might get another guy because you look hot. That's different from, I don't want you wearing another dress because I feel like my job is to protect you. And if you're out doing that stuff, I feel like you might be in danger, or it's not the kind of brand that I have out. You got me about this public image, and it just would kind of look bad on the brand, which would affect us as a family, affect us money wise or whatever like that. Whatever you have, there is a logical justification for them. It's not just I feel insecure, so don't wear that dress or whatever. I think a lot of women have experienced that, and they get that mixed up with, and a lot of dudes do that, and both they get that confused with, okay, I'm going to lead us into a better situation that benefits us, and most likely you more than me.
I had a question I wanted to ask Jerk and Damien before the ladies jump on here. I know both of you guys are married. Has there ever been a time in your relationship where because you had to scale it back because maybe this is too controlling, because you had self-awareness to kind of look in the way you behave and the way you lead in your relationship, and then you have maybe in your mind you thought you were okay. This is the way to lead, but after communicating and having some feedback from your woman, from your wife, then you realize, oh, you know what, this is something I need to improve on as a leader. This is something I probably have to scale back because, you know what, I can be I'm probably very controlling in this one area that I need to improve on. Maybe kind of give her some more wiggle room, some more space. Has that ever happened to you guys in your relationship before?
I'll let you go first, Jerk.
No, not for me.
No.
It's because, like I said, I spent a lot of time moving with attention. So even when me and my wife got together, you know, I was making sure I was observing how she maneuvered and stuff like that. So when we got together, I was like, you know, we were having them conversations. So it's like, hey, what do you want to do in life? We put a plan together. I was like, all right, man, go conquer that. Here's how we can maneuver to get to the next phase and stuff like that. So I always been like, also leading by example. Like, I'm not going to ask anybody to do something that I'm not willing to do for myself. So I was always kind of focused on like, hey, if I want stuff to be a certain way, I need to make sure that I'm operating at that level. So I kind of just also focused on making sure I was operating the right way. And I think if you kind of do that, then, you know, if you are a leader, people tend to kind of structure themselves the same way. So that's what's kind of happened. I never once in my life had a conversation with my wife where she needs to wear. She's, you know, like I said, I chose a person that was kind of conservative like that. So it's just like I never had to have that conversation. Also, like, just, you know, when it came to finances and bills, like I made sure we had them discussions early. So it was just like we were talking about yesterday, and even Dame, it's just like, man, we always just put the household first. So a lot of the conversations that, you know, a lot of people have are, like you said, were you too controlling or not? It's like, nah, I'm just made sure like up front that I had the right person, and it just made life a lot easier, you know, once we had those conversations up front and started outlining like, hey, I'll take on this, you could take on that and stuff like that. So it ran pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I believe your marriage, Jerk, is a representation of what happens when you choose somebody that you align with. I think when you choose somebody you align with, like morally, your values, your vision, your interests, your goals, there's not a lot of like adjustments or changes that needs to be made because you align with that person. But I think when men and women, when we choose people just because of what if they're hot, they're attractive, but everything that when it comes to alignment is off, I think that's when we have the conversation like, oh, something can be too controlling or something that we need to scale it back because you don't align on a lot of things. And I think in your case, it just seems like your wife aligned a lot of things. You had those conversations, so it's much easier to be with somebody when you just align, you know, the majority of things.
And just one more thing, I just think when you got confidence in self, because like I said, when you start focusing and you making sure you're moving in the right direction, I think like Dame was breaking down, you're not looking at stuff from I'm scared she might go find somebody else. It's like, man, I know who I am, so I don't have to really focus on that type of stuff. But the one scenario Dame was giving yesterday, I love when he was breaking it down to the ladies about you know, how people represent like a woman. When you asked him that question towards the end, Dame, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a great question.
The status one, how do you give?
Yeah, that exactly. And man, my wife, when she used to go out and, you know, like a guy would talk to her, she used to be kind of rude. I'm like, man, you ain't got no name tag on you. But I mean, that's how she would operate. Like, I got man, get out of my face. I'm like, damn, you got to calm that shit down before we get some drinks thrown on us, you know?
Exactly.
But like Dame said, it's just like, man, that's how she just operated, man. She took that stuff kind of serious. So
the funny thing is, like, I want to say, you know, that there has been where I've had to not necessarily scale it back. It's just there wasn't a lot of justification for the position because I hadn't fully figured it out yet. It was just like I'm trying to think. It was something I had a perfect example, but I forgot about it. But this was like early on. This was, I think when we first got together, she was actually making more bread than me, and I tried to exert some kind of control or something. She wanted to spend the money she made on, and this was we weren't even married. This was like boyfriend and girlfriend type shit. Okay. Yeah, so it was just like I was trying to. Maybe that's the thing. I was just trying to do early. I was trying to come on the job the first day and be the supervisor. You know, I was like, I hadn't earned the right. Yeah, exactly. I didn't earn the right, and I hadn't shown enough, having had a history as as a boyfriend. I tried to make good decisions. As a fiance, I tried to make good strategic decisions, but I hadn't had. It's a whole different world when I'm her husband. The decisions that you got to make. These are the real long-term decisions and the real thought out decisions that you got to make. I think I was trying to, I had a little too much dip on my chip early on. And she luckily, she saw that it wasn't nothing that was going to really do any damage to her. And I was able to pull it back and just kind of like learn how to like express what it was. It just, because I didn't want to come off as just overbearing. So yeah, it happened to me early on as a boyfriend, but never as a husband.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Will,
Yeah, go ahead,
before you
Stan.
go on, I think for us as single guys, we need to answer that question, because for women who are going into dating, they need to know what that look like when you're single, and how we as single men operate, as like Dee, described. Because a lot of times women don't know that we're looking at this stuff a lot differently than they are.
Like, what do you mean, Stan?
Okay, it's like two different girls I went on a date with, right?
Mhm.
One girl, I gave her the plan. I thought of everything. We discussed it, right? She constantly challenged the plan. The plan was to go to the movies, right? And then get something to eat. The movies and the restaurant she want to go to are 20 minutes away. She wanted to eat first and then go to the movies. And I'm like, look, I'll bring snacks and everything else. We already done this before. We're not going to the movie, and you're going to be upset and you're going to be mad. So this movie you really want to go to, let's go to movies first, right? She made all the calls and everything to see what I said was true. And I'm like, yo, I always took care of you. Like, what's going on here, right? So needless to say, we went through the whole date, and after that, I never dated her again. That was good, right?
You shouldn't have went through the whole date. You shouldn't even spend your resources on that. I'm sorry, and call it rude or whatever, but you got to protect your resources. You need to see your resources as valuable, and you need to protect that. And that's why you need to make sure all that stuff. You should never let a woman curate how you date them.
Understand, but understand, right? Modern woman.
No, I'm saying
right?
Fine, but you could just when it comes to dating, you can be a modern guy or a traditional guy. You can be like, look, to quell any type of like headache or anything like that, let me pick the experience. And I promise you, I've had enough conversations to know what the kind of things you into, what you like or what have you. It's not a guessing game. I got an idea. You told me you like this, because you should have at least 3 significant conversations prior to your first date when you meet somebody. So you have those conversations and kind of filter out the things that she might not be rocking with, and after that, you should be in have enough ingenuity to kind of like develop a date based on those things that you both like, those commonalities that you have, and you should curate the experiences moving forward. Once you get into a relationship, then you can get into that shit where it's like, I don't want to get seafood today. You can do all that shit, But when you first start it, you need to impress upon her that I'm a man of action and planning, and that's going to impress her. So anybody who's like, oh no, I want to do this, I want to do that, you are 100% letting her curate the experience, and it's making you not enjoy the experience as much as you can. I'm telling you, a woman, if all she has to do is sit back and look pretty, she gonna be like, cool. And I'm gonna say this, and this may come off harsh, but this is a lesson for any dude that's watching. If a woman is that set upon it, and it needs to be that much other shit going on, she may not be into you as much as you might think she is.
Yeah, but that's the first girl, right? For me, I want to go to the movie. I only got 1 day off, and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I was gonna go to the movie anyway. I'm gonna eat.
I want to whip by my damn self.
Right. So I was like, I only thought about myself. The second girl, I gave her the plan, did not challenge it, because she knew I'm thinking about her, and we went through it, and I was like, okay, I could continue dating this girl because she actually knows that I'm not leading her astray. It's not a challenge. The first girl, she always like, why you won't go out with me again? And I explained to her, like, look, this is what happened. This is what came up. I understand in the past you had some like horrible experiences with guys, but we already went on 2 dates already, and that was not me. So the kind of transference of those past relationships came up in this one. you got some healing that you got to do, and I'm out.
You ain't even got to go that far into it. Just be like, the vibe wasn't there. We weren't aligned, and I've just choose to what's the word I'm looking for? Choose to go other places. You don't got to get that deep into it. You ain't got to be Dr. Fielder. You just got to be like, look, we ain't vibing. It's just not cool or whatever.
But
And you're a great person. You can go about it. You don't got to try to make her better for the next dude.
You got to. No,
that's on her
that's
to learn.
leadership. That's leadership.
She don't want to. She not. She
Dan,
doesn't.
did you charge for that therapy session you gave?
No,
D, that's leadership. I have to.
that is not leadership. Why? She's not. She doesn't want to be under your leadership. She wants to lead.
But
so why would you try to give leadership to somebody who's not receptive to it?
Look, I gotta let her know. This is why nobody calls.
You ain't gotta let her know nothing. She blew it. That's how you gotta let her know.
No, nobody ain't calling you back because you do this. You are too masculine. We already made the plan. Please follow through.
Stan, what was her response when you gave that information to her? What was her response?
She was upset. Then she had her friends contact me and like, why don't you
look at that? Look at all that. Look at all that.
Yeah, unnecessary drama.
You said, you know what? I don't think the vibe was right. So
I have a question.
Please.
And this is specifically when you went on one date with one woman, and she. Can you just I think not all of us were in the chat. Can you just a quick cliff note of what happened really quick? I know you kind of just explained it, but what did she do? How did she lead? How did she lead the date?
No, so the first date, I let it. We already talked. I made the plans, what we agreed on, right? She comes back. She wants to change it. We already went on a date before, so I already know her temperament. I'm like, look, just let's follow this plan because we broke it down. And I know you want to eat after this movie. You really want to see this movie. So let's do this, right? But she kept on pushing it. So I stood my ground on it, right?
What do you see? Can you give an example of pushing it? I just need to know. I just like to know.
Say that one more time again.
Can you give me an example of pushing it?
Oh, pushing it, just keep on calling me. Just like, look, I want to eat. I'm like, look, I already got the snacks.
Oh, I see.
Like, I know you hungry. I'm hungry too, right? I only got one day off, and then I work a side job too, right? So I only got one day off, right? So I already, for me in the movies, look, we're going to get that pizza. We're going to get them chicken tenders, popcorn and drinks. I am that guy, right? I'm going to spend my $50 at the movie.
Okay. And did you give her I love that.
These movies are 3 hours long. You can't sit down through a 3-hour movie and not eat. So,
of course. Did you give her?
Did you wear a dress to this date?
Did you give her a concise time of when to expect to go on the date? Or was she just waiting around for you?
No, everything's on time, right?
Okay.
She just wanted it her way, but we agreed on this. And I already know her temperament. So I already know what's going on. Did all the insurance and everything else, right?
Okay.
After the date, she said, thank you for, I think, what do you call that thing when people call it a shit test to see if I was going to fold and everything else? But for me, I was already done. I wanted to go see the movie, and I'm like, look, it was one of those Marvel movies, and you're not going to mess up my Marvel time.
You already folded, though. You folded like clothes on Sunday. You.
No, I only got one.
What you think, Vals? Did he mess up in that scenario?
I only got one day off.
You got only one day off, and you dedicated it to this woman that you've had experience with in the past, and it seems like your first date wasn't that engaging. It probably wasn't the best.
Oh no, the first date we got to the second date.
Oh, it was.
The second date, yeah.
This is the second date. So the first date was great, and the second date wasn't that great. It seems to me there was a lack of communication. This is just what I'm picking up. If she's bugging you or reaching out to you multiple times talking about she's hungry and you're not being receptive to that information, that's just something that, if someone was telling me they were hungry and I cared about them, I would take that into consideration.
I did. And there you go.
Terrible advice.
I paid
that was terrible advice.
The $50 of food at the movie.
She a whole adult.
Guess what we're going afterwards, right? Keep in mind, what we're going afterwards is Mods. And Mods is this little personal pizzeria place afterwards, right? Yeah. The movie is at 5. You can hold on.
It's a timing thing.
Yeah, right.
Snack. She's adult, but sometimes people just don't have the time. Maybe she was busy and couldn't get a snack in, and she expected to have a snack during the movie or whatever.
Yeah, I know. And I go.
I think what he was
paid
saying,
for-
and
I paid
correct me
for
if I'm
everything.
wrong, Stan, is like you said we're going to go to this movie at this time, but what she was trying to do is change to where you go eat before the movie and then go to the movie, and you were just like, is that
That's
what
not
she was
going to
trying?
work because the
Yeah, no,
neighborhood we're in.
That
That's
was
what she
Yeah,
was trying to do, right?
No, that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to change what you already had set up that worked that you had agreed on, that you both agreed worked.
She wanted to
the
go eat
movies.
somewhere first and then go to the movies.
Yeah, and then she wanted to reverse the order of the
Okay.
way it goes, and he was like, "That doesn't fit with what I had planned." And
She was
then
trying to make
giving him
Stan submit. That's what she was
She was
trying
trying
to
to give him pushback,
And I'm not going to submit.
Not necessarily nothing over anything with that. I'm just saying it's just like
Well,
I think what she was.
I already got the tickets. Say something.
Yeah, it was just like
that.
I know we
With the
need to be in
tickets.
the time. Chop chop. It's you can't. This is not one of those things where we can be loosey goosey with it. There's a definitive time we have to be there, so we can't push it and things like that, or we're gonna miss the movie that we both agreed that we're gonna go see. And I definitely want to see it. So I think for her to try to
understand, like the neighborhood that we're in is suburban. The last movie is it. So that movie's at 5:00. The movie theater going to shut down at 8. That's it. There's no 8:00. It's a very suburban community that we live in where everything shuts
All right, let's get
down
Coach
at
Shante
8,
in
9
here.
o'clock.
Coach Shante, what you think on this? Was Stan slipping?
I would say no. Like you guys started off, the communication was there. It was, hey, let's do this. We agreed on this, and then all of a sudden it changed. But if the change didn't work, definitely communicating that up front and being clear about the communication. Like, hey, we agreed on this. Unfortunately, switching it up now does not work because I planned around this. So I think it did, just from what I'm hearing Stan say. It was kind of like her not being considerate of also his time, because if you guys both committed to this, then that means you may have had plans before and plans after. And so then that's the thing, that not everything works on any person's time, and not just saying, not everything works on a woman's time or a man, but it's just like, hey, we both committed to this. Let's stick to it. If we can't stick to it, then we need to reschedule. And then that's a whole separate conversation in terms of that, if money was already spent and things like that.
Coach Shante is like Seth Curry out here shooting from the half-point line.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach. Nia, Coach, Val, thank you for jumping on.
Can we get Nia's take on there? Is it Niabla? I'm sorry, Will.
No, go ahead.
It's Nia Bia.
How you say your name?
Yeah, Nia Via is just my Instagram tag, but my name is Nia.
All right.
What's my take on this?
Yeah.
I'm like so much of a planner, so I feel like this would have already been discussed. But I don't know if he already had movie tickets, then he had the movie tickets. Yeah, that's an easy out, I guess, in that situation. But there's a lot of factors to this. If the movies are closing at 8, like, did she get irritated about the situation at the end of or did she end up going?
No, she ended up going. She thanked me. And it was just her anxiety. But again, like, everything was planned out because we know it's going to end at 8:00. We know we're going to get to this mod pizzeria place after the movies, because again, this is a community that closes at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So date night is Saturday nights, and so the restaurants are open till 10. So we planned everything exactly. It's not like it's not like New York City. We don't live in a place like that.
So was she able to get snacks while
I do want to. I want to.
Yeah, I got the snacks. I
want
got
to get
the
back.
All right. Enough of it. He's like, enough of this date thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Will's like, all right, this
Sorry,
show ain't
Will.
called How
You
to.
got the pizza. Like, again, movies
I
now
said,
like 3
all right.
hours. Like,
Will
you're
wants to
gonna
move
get
on to
whole
the
works.
topic at hand. Stan.
Yeah, we got the ladies here, so we gotta get back on topic. All right. Every single time when we talk about Stan's past dating experiences.
Wait. But see, that's the whole thing about leadership, right? Leadership means you may not like it, but trust me, I thought about you and I got your back. And I made sure you were taken care of. And that is leadership. Leadership is not just me giving just direction. What it took for me is making sure, like, look, this is what we agreed on. let's follow through, aka discipline, right, and structure. At the same time, I spent the money to make sure that you ate. Look, that's leadership. Leadership is not for me to be like all the time, but you will be taken care of.
Hey, Stan, lead yourself to another woman's house.
Yeah,
that's
we
what you
have
do.
Which I did, which is the second one.
There
But
you
that's
go.
what I did.
Stan, I have to lead this conversation back to the topic. Okay. But Stan, as always, appreciate your stories and your perspectives that you share on here. But ladies, thank you so much. Gladys, good to see you. Thank you for jumping on, be part of the panel to add the female perspective. But appreciate you guys watching so far. Clever Girl Reading, thank you so much. I'll see you on the live chat. But let's get that live. Kasim, good to see you in the live chat. Get the live chat active. Don't forget, this is a public stream. So if you do want to jump on, be part of the panel, my panel is open. The link is in the description below on YouTube. But the main topic we're going to be discussing tonight, and I would love to hear what the ladies have to share from their perspective to add on to our conversation. But we're having a conversation about masculine leadership. Is that controlling? This is something from a previous conversation and podcast we have. I know there's a lot of women out there but you know what? Let me just ask the women up front on the panel. Ladies, if you're looking for a long-term committed relationship, do you want the man to have strong masculine leadership in the relationship? Yes or no? Val?
Yes.
Okay. Coach?
Yes.
All right, Nia?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then Gladys?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the reason why we're bringing up this topic, because we've had a discussion. We had one recently from last night, but we have a conversation with a lot of women, and they would say, you know what, I want a strong masculine man that has a purpose, that can lead, that can teach me. We can grow together. That has a vision, has a plan. And then as soon as we talk about leadership, okay, the man has to come and be that leader in her life. The first thing that, especially a lot of the first responses, a lot of women would say, "Oh, I don't want him to control me." So I think there's a lot of. I want to break down that conversation. So why do you think? I want to ask the ladies on the panel if a lot of women out there, they say that they want to. We're talking about strong, healthy leadership. A man that knows how to lead. I'm not talking about the guys that don't know how to lead or toxic or they're very manipulative. I'm trying to force you to do things you don't want to do. I'm talking about a guy that's leading by example, that has a purpose, a plan, has a vision. He has good, strong values and boundaries, strong foundation. I'm talking about that type of man. So why do you think a lot of women would say, I want a man to lead me? But as soon as we talk about the things that men have to do in order to be a leader in that relationship, one of the things I often hear, especially from last night's panel, one of the guests on the panel said, I want a man to lead me, but also I don't want that man to tell me what to do. So that's kind of, it's hard to be able to be the leader in the relationship if I have no influence of the direction of where this relationship goes, especially your behavior and how you act in the relationship. So it's a good conversation to have. There's a lot of men that are confused because, they want to be the leader in your life, but at the same time, they're hearing a lot of women say, "Don't tell me anything. I don't want you to tell me anything, but I want you to lead me." So I want to pass it back to you guys. Do you think, in your perspective, is masculine leadership is it controlling, or do you think a lot of women don't understand what maybe it's the word, or maybe it's their past experiences? They don't really know what their definition of what controlling is. But I'll start with you, Val. What do you think? Do you think masculine leadership is controlling, and why do you think a lot of women out there, they think that leadership from a lot of men is just men want to control their life?
Well, I think that leadership and masculinity, they can go hand in hand. But because a lot of women, or the women on your panel, have said, I want a man that's masculine or that leads me, but is not controlling. Those are different things, okay? You can still be a masculine leader without having control, or not having control, but exuding toxic control in your relationship. There are many men that lead their families, that are providers and protectors, and that don't have any say in what their women wear, or don't have any say in what their women do on the weekends with their friends, or whatever hobbies they like to do, whatever they want to do in their career, blah, blah, blah. I just think that when it comes to a masculine traditional relationship, women and men have to over communicate, especially this day and age. Things have changed. This is not the 50s. things have changed. And I feel like there's a lot of men that try to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I want to be masculine, this and that. But in the same sense, they also want to control. And that's just not giving today in 2024. A lot of women are not going to put up with that because what do they want to control? And for what? What's the reasoning? Why? And I feel like a lot of men that are toxic in these type of relationships, they don't even ask themselves why. They don't even know why they want to control. It's what are you getting out of that? Exactly. And so leadership, masculinity, and control are 3 different things. And yeah, I feel like if you look around you, how many leaders do you see that are masculine and are positive or not toxic and, aren't controlling in your circle of friends that have a successful relationship with their spouse? It's a question you guys could think about.
Great point. Thank you so much for there is the difference between those words. So yeah, that's actually a great breakdown. But quick question before I go to Coach. Can you give me one example of controlling, of a man being too controlling to a woman?
Yeah, sure. So for example, if he tells a woman what to wear, there is a time and a place, right? I am 35 years old. I've had times where I was showing cleavage and I had the shorts and the whole 9. And there are women that are in their 50s, well in their 60s, that feel comfortable and sexy and like to dress like that. There's no problem with that. And I feel like ultimately some men are insecure, that's their own insecurity. Like if a woman is married to a man and she's faithful to him, the way she dresses shouldn't matter. Sure, if a man's like, hey, I'm kind of uncomfortable with the way you dress, and he communicates with his wife, they could discuss that. But if he's just like, you can't wear this, you can't show cleavage, you can't do that's, I feel inappropriate, and I wouldn't want to be in a relationship like that.
Okay. All right. No, fair enough. All right. Thank you so much, Val. Jessica, good to see you. Thank you for jumping on. All right, I'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Coach. Do you think masculine leadership is controlling, and why do you think a lot of women, when we talk about the topic of masculine leadership, they always say that, oh, I don't want men to be controlling?
I would say I think masculine leadership is not intended to be controlling. However, I do feel like there are people, both men and women, that really don't understand the term leadership. And I did take notes. Stan made some really good points earlier on, but I'm sure we'll get into that. And I think, but going to the next question, why women think, what was the next question? Why women think it's controlling?
Yeah, why do you think a lot of women, when they hear the topic of masculine leadership, they're always that big fear and response is, oh, I don't want that man to be controlling when we talk about a man leading her in a relationship?
I think it goes back to women's history. It is no walk in the park to be a woman. Just starting off at a young age, like coming into preteen and teens and things like that, as soon as boys take interest in you, you have them trying to lie, cheat, cry, steal, manipulate their way into your lives, even if it's just to have, just to have an experience, have you for a short time, long time. They're going to do whatever to get into your space. So I think it part of it may stems from kind of that childhood trauma with some of those experiences. And then it's also just the use of the word and how the word leadership has been manipulated and presented to them. Whereas leadership is, we know it's one way, but people have presented leadership to them that actually meant, hey, I'm going to control you. Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I also think it's about a communication. You can communicate your wants and your needs and your dislikes without demanding that someone makes a change. So it's one thing to say, I know you're very attractive, you're beautiful, that's part of what caught my attention. However, when I don't feel comfortable with you dressing a certain way because, and then you give that reason, whether it's because then you may get the wrong attention and I have to, then step into my masculinity, protect you, those things like that. But then you have some men that come off and it's more just, it really is controlling, to where it's like, they're telling you what to wear and how to dress and what to say and what to do and things like that. And I think it's a turnoff. But I also think it still goes into the type of people that we connect ourselves with. Because if you are a man looking for a woman that dresses a certain way and more conservative and more traditional, those are the women you should seek out, and those are conversations that should be had up front. And you also have to be observant. Think about what she was wearing, how you met her, first date, second date. So if cleavages are out, butts out, and things like that, 9 out of 10 times she's not going to be receptive to the conversation of putting on some clothes, because when you met her, she didn't have any on. So it's just it's also being realistic as well. It's like, hey, it goes back to that saying, can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Not calling anyone a hoe, but I'm just saying, like, it speaks to that, to where you know what you got, but now once you wanted it so bad that you're going to try to fit them into who you want them to be, and that's where it becomes controlling and toxic.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Coach. I do agree with you. There are a lot of women out there that pursue women who are half naked and then try to put clothes on them. I've seen that a lot, so I do agree with you. It's inconsistency of values. Find people who already have the same values as you do. So I'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Nia. Nia, same. What's your response? We're talking about masculine leadership. Women want a man to be a masculine leader, but why do you think a lot of women are, when we have the conversation of masculine leadership, they're very they're always pushing back because they think that men are going to control them in their life?
There's a difference between somebody leading us as women, a man leading us as women, and men, us feeling controlled by men. It's your approach. It's your words that you use. Coach Shante said, it's a lot of probably past trauma as a woman, and women go through a lot at a young age. And yeah, it's your approach. If you are trying to lead me, why can't you show me the way, but also allow us to have a conversation where we can compromise, not just you telling us what to do, because I don't think a lot of women or people are even receptive to that.
Okay. Oh, so past experience.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I think that it's really your approach.
Oh, okay.
Which
so
is why, I think it's confusing to men if women are saying, I want to be led, but I don't want you to control me. To you guys, that may sound the same. To women, we know the difference.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Nia. Appreciate that. We'll keep it moving. And I see Lanisha on there. William Graves in the live chat. Let's get that live chat active. Let me know what you guys think. I'd like to hear your feedback. Pass it to you, Gladys. Gladys, we're talking about masculine leadership. Why do you think a lot of women, their response, I want a man to lead me, but I'm afraid that he's going to control me?
I would have to agree. It might be just the delivery, also past experience. Like for a woman, if you got out of a relationship where the guy was controlling and there was abusive, and also there's verbal abusive, it doesn't even have to be physical, and it's a controlling guy, you start looking for someone that's not like that. But if you find someone that's healthy and there's like healthy boundaries on leading, you're more receptive to like following that man. I know for me, I would be more receptive to follow a man that I know it's more of a leader and is showing me a healthy boundaries, and being respectful, and the delivery is always like equal. So I would be more open to something like that.
All right. Thank you so much, Gladys. And then I'll pass it to you, Jessica. I'll pass it back to the fellas. But Jessica, what do you think? There's a lot of women, they want masculine leadership, but they're afraid that they're going to control them. Why do you think women think like that?
I also agree. I think it's about, we want a man to lead, but I feel like sometimes men confuse. There's some men that once they start leading, they could probably take advantage of that. But I feel like women tend to feel that as long as you respect us, deliver communication, and if it's healthy, yeah, I think I would definitely listen to that. But I don't think I would feel comfortable for a masculine man who is demanding, control, telling me in a very in a way that is going to make me feel bad about myself. Like, for example, somebody's telling me, oh, you can't wear that dress. That makes you look like a hoe, or that makes you look like this. There's other ways to go about it without having to insult the woman or their partner.
Oh, okay, all right. It's about just being respectful. You know,
Yes,
the way you
respectful.
communicate, but as long as he communicates to you, but in a respectful way, he
Yeah.
doesn't put you down or make you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
Can I respond to?
Yeah.
To
Go ahead.
what
Go
you're
ahead.
saying? Okay. All right. I think it's kind of a combination of what a lot of you were saying. I think the thing is dudes start to create boundaries when they start seeing a future. Like if I'm going out with you and I don't care what you dress, how you wear, whatever like that, I probably don't see much of a future there. It's probably just something I'm gonna have fun with, or I'm kicking it with, or you cool. And yeah, we're gonna, but when I start to create boundaries, it's because I'm realizing that I'm planning on investing a lot in this relationship. I'm going to be sacrificed and I'm going to share resources. I'm going to create resources that benefits the both of us. You know, so I think that's why some guys do it. Some guys do it from if the guys who are doing it as reactive, like to Jessica's point, if you wear something and he says you look like a hoe in that, that's a different from saying, hey, you know what? Now that we're in a relationship, you know, what makes me feel better in a relationship is if you dress a little bit more conservatively, because what that does, it limits access to your body and things like that for just me, and that makes me feel good that only I have access to your body out. And it's not just a sexual thing. Yeah, you don't. A lot of women think, well, I'm only want to be having sex with him, so that should be no. It should be like just access to even view, engage with a lot of your sexuality, because unfortunately, some women have like super dope bodies, and men view it in a sexual manner, and it's just like you are trying to tone that down to where, okay, my man has access to my sexuality. My man has unfettered access to my body because he has status. He's showing me that he wants to invest in me. He's doing things for the benefit of both of us. And that puts him in a status over every other man on the planet. And I always ask women, I was like, when you were in a relationship, how do you make your man feel like he has status over other men if other men have access to to view you in like bikinis and stuff? Like, don't get me wrong, if you are at the beach and you and him go on a trip and you're at the beach and you take a picture in a bikini, you're doing it in the setting it was designed to do. But if you're just like posing in them or doing, or what have you, or every picture you doing the knee up, butt out picture or whatever like that to try to make your ass look better or whatever, then you're not necessarily doing it for you're just doing it for attention, I feel like. So I feel like a dude who's been who has that use somebody he wants to invest in and wants to be a leader for will set boundaries because he knows these are the things that's going to make me feel good about all the things I'm willing to do for you. And that's the difference. The guys who set boundaries that only benefit them are the ones that are tyrannical. Like, it's like you're saying, you can't wear that because it makes me insecure, it makes me feel bad. That's tyrannical. But he says, hey, I would prefer you didn't wear that because, I have long-term plans for us. And I want the people around me to view you the way I view you, as a long-term thing, not just somebody to have fun with, and I want to view you as the same way, and that's kind of how it is. If it's done the right way, if it's done proactively, considerate, it should be well received. But some women out there don't even want to hear it, no matter the way you say it. Just like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to wear what I'm going to go wherever I want, stuff like that. Because a lot of times when a guy takes on the leadership role, he needs to sacrifice doing things that are just for him. He can't be like, what you call it? Seriously, someone think like when Val said, oh, I want to go with my girls. I'm going to go out and I want to do this. I want to be able to go out with my girls, okay, but that's something, I get it. That's something that you want to do for yourself. Yeah, you did say that. You said that earlier.
I didn't say I want to go out with my girls. I said that there are a lot of people in relationships that do that should happen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have put that on. You just saying it as example.
I was using it as example, but yeah, I do want to go out with my girls. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is it's certain things you're going to have to sacrifice to be, and this is, for the lack of a better term, worthy of that leadership and that man wanting to invest his resources in you. And if one of the things is, hey, just, you got a great body, can you just tone it down? Or you got cleavage, can you just tone it down a little bit? Except you with me, because like I said, like my wife is very conservative when she's dressed, but when she with me, you can wear them shit, higher the heels, the lower the cut, V cut, the hike that skirt up 2 more inches, kind of shit like that, because I like to see it and I like to be like, look, so I think that's the difference in how it can come off and make it beneficial as instead of repressive.
All right.
But real quick, I did like what Coach Shantae said, and I think that's the key. It's like if you observing and you're dating somebody and you see like if they dress a certain way, then me personally, I think you accept people for what they are, and if you can't take it, then you need to just move on. And I think a lot, like we were talking about earlier before y'all jumped on about being aligned with somebody. I think people operate off of lust a lot, where they'll see somebody that looks good and they're like, hey, I want that at any cost. And then they'll pull that person in, even though, they seen them dressed a certain way. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to try to change them now that I got them. So I do see people doing that. And I do think that's wrong.
And then I'll touch on what Damien said, like, and I get it. And it's kind of like a two-way street on that. Going off what I said in terms of the alignment part, just being observant, but then again, it also shows the type of mate, that you're pursuing by having that conversation. So the conversation you said that you would have, like, hey, now that we're moving forward and we are taking the next step, we're being serious. This is how I feel about some of the choices you've made in terms of dressing, maybe toning down this, that, and the third. I think even with that's still an opportunity to see how she takes to your leadership. So then it's like, if she's offended, if she chooses not to, and I think that's that point where you would decide if we're going any further or if I'm limiting that access to me, because then it's kind of like, now it's time to kind of limit access and fade out, or just be like, maybe, hey, this is, we've reached our time, kind of like, that's my time, but yeah, I think that's kind of one of those crossroad points in dating, to where you're at that point where you have that conversation, but then the flip side is also, do you even want to have that conversation, or would you rather just kind of like sense that up front, observe, and just be like, man, she looks good, and I like the way she dressed, but everything she got on, it just wouldn't be for me. I like looking at her, but I don't think I'd be with her, type of thing.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach. But I kind of want to expand on that topic that Val brought up, because that's something that's always causing a big debate and argument online, especially with the way a woman dresses. So I think that's always a hard conversation to have. But I know for a lot of traditional men, if you are looking for traditional men and who are provider protectors or masculine, I do agree with David. I think most men, we don't want our women to be sexualized by other men. So we want our woman to be able to represent us, because I do believe the woman is, if you're marrying your wife and the husband as well, you're both an extension of representing each other. So you have to. So if you're out there dressing in the way we attract unnecessary attention from men, then you're pretty much putting yourself as a way to tell all the other men out there that you're not somebody's wife. All right, so to be seen that way. So, but there are a lot of women out there that would say, hey, if a man telling me that I have to change the way I dress to cover up, that's controlling, or that's he's insecure. I do agree with Damien. I think Damien said a great point. If there's a reason behind. So if I'm only telling you to do something to benefit me, then that can come off insecure and controlling. But if I'm doing this to benefit the relationship, so that way we can represent ourselves that we are a married couple, so people see us and look, we're married. We represent us in a good way. We're a good example for our kids. At the end of the day, we don't want to be sexualized, or we don't want to be seen as sexual objects for both men and women. So as men, we don't want our wives, regardless of with the woman that's extremely beautiful and have a great body, but at the end of the day, we don't want you to be sexualized by weirdos and creeps out there. So, but I want to put it back to the panel. Anybody can respond. Is it controlling for a man to tell his woman, hey, if you're going to be with me, this is the way you're going to dress, and this is the way that you're going to represent me. I know a lot of women want a man with status, want a man to be successful, want a man that has notoriety, to be seen as a good man. Usually those types of men, especially if they're high level men, high caliber men, they have a network, and they have social, they have a good circle of friends. So you got to be able to represent yourself and represent your man and the family. But if you're dressing in a way that's making you seem like to be sexualized, it doesn't come off as a good way, especially in his circle. But I'll pass it back to the panel. Anybody can respond. But what is it controlling for a man to sit down with the woman and say, "Hey, if you're going to be with me, and I'm going to be the provider, protector, I'm going to be the one leading this relationship and making the decisions for the best interest of our family, and I'm willing to do this to make your life a lot better." Is it controlling to tell the woman, "Hey, in order to be with me, you have to dress a certain way to represent me and not be sexualized"? Is that controlling? Is that controlling for a man to have that conversation with the woman?
I feel like it's only controlling if she's not receptive. But then it's also kind of that thing, what's understood doesn't have to be explained. So then it's like if we have to sit down and have that conversation, is that even the right person for you? If you have to sit down and have that conversation, it shouldn't have needed to be had, because you should have already selected a woman that's more conservative, that from the looks off bat, just at the beginning, that seemed aligned, that appeared to be aligned, meaning that you still saw her beauty, but she was covered up. Not saying she had to be in a nun or anything like that, but she could have chose the lower cut V-shirt, but she just chose a slightly V cut or something like that. I just think the conversation could be avoided just by being observant and having good selection.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I think that, just like you said, you probably wouldn't want to be associated with someone if you have to change them, right? So you can't go into a situation thinking that you can, I really like them, I love them, but they dress too revealing for me. What if you can't change that? You can't expect that it will come off as being controlling to that woman, if that's just the way that I always dress like this, so why is it a problem now? But then again, if it is a conversation that you guys you have, and you're willing to compromise, I think it's all about your approach and your delivery. Or if you wear something, I don't really like the way I don't really like that outfit on you, not because it doesn't look good on you, it's just because it's not a good representation of us and you. It's too over sexualizing. Like, it's about your approach as a man. You can't just come in hot and saying, oh, you need to change right now just because I don't like that.
Can I ask you, ladies,
want you all out.
Do you feel like it's a double standard? Because I feel like we see it on TV shows and we see it in like videos on social media and stuff like that. Why is it okay? It's not okay for a man to say, "Hey, babe, I need you to dress down a little bit," but it's perfectly fine for a woman to ask their man to dress it up. Like, if you had a man who was always t-shirts and shorts and you want to go to dinner, you're like, "Baby, put on a nice shirt, put on some slacks, put on some That's perfectly acceptable to ask your man to dress up. But there seems to be some kind of, "Oh, you're controlling if you ask me to dress it down a little bit." Why do you think that's a double standard?
No, I feel like, it just depends on the occasion. There's a lot of people that don't have fashion. That's me and I were just talking about this week. It's so interesting because there are people that are in relationships and like one or the other, some of them, let's say the guy, he's high profile, he dresses in really nice outfits. And it's not even about the designer. It's about the style, right? And his wife is looking frumpy. Like that just, they don't match. They don't represent each other. And I feel like clothing is so, it's just, honestly, what's what I'm looking for? It's like, it's a layer. It changes. Like I said earlier, I mean, I used to be all about cleavage, all about exposure, short shorts, the works. That changes though. Clothes change. Forward evolves. Think about your style 15 years ago. It's not the same as it is today, probably. And so I just feel like with women, even circling back to females that are a little bit more exposed and a little bit more sexy, like sex sells. Okay, let's just be real. And men love it. And some women look really good. If a man was like, hey, you know, I have a new vice president position and you're my wife, I want you to be a little bit more conservative. I feel like, I don't think that that's a problem for a man to communicate that with his wife if he wants her to be a little bit more conservative. I don't think it's a problem because, again, it's just clothes. But honestly, if it's like Nia and Coach Chantel have said, it's all about your approach. It's all about your approach. And there's a time and a moment. One day she could be conservative. The next day she could dress in her normal attire. For men, one day he could wear his flip-flops and white tees. If we're going to go on our 15th anniversary dinner, I expect him to dress up a little bit, depending on where we are. You know, it all depends on the occasion. And I feel like either party shouldn't be upset about it if their partner is asking them respectfully, approaching them, and it's in the right sense, and it's the right occasion. Meet me halfway.
Wearing a white beater and some Timbs.
Like, I'm not gonna see you with white beater and Timbs at our anniversary dinner. Absolutely not.
Straight up.
But hold on a second. But but that is, you're kind of saying it is a double standard, because what it is, it's like you're saying the occasion will dictate whether or not you accept him in the way you met him. If you met him wearing t-shirts and shorts, and now you're saying there's certain occasions where you feel like it's appropriate to change the way you met him to fit your idea of how the way things should be, because he could be fine going, like he could be fine going to the situation and thinks he looks fine, but you have a perception of how you want him to look because of a certain situation. Well, just like
being controlling, Val.
Just like the guy is like, I want you, like, but that goes to what you said. If, like you said, hey, we got the Christmas party to go to, and all your wife have are freakum dresses, and he was like, no, we need to go shopping and get you a nice little gown or whatever like that to make you look. That's I feel like, or just a little bit more conservative because we're going to be around, you know,
Damien, she knew 6 months ago that the Christmas party was going to be in a few months. She should have shopped. She should have prepared. People need to prepare.
If you guys have gotten that far, why does she only have freakum dresses?
Right.
All I'm saying is we're talking about is it okay for the woman is it okay for the woman to push back on that, be like, I like the way I dress, I look good, you accepted me like that in that situation? Is it that was my question. Is it hypocrisy to say you met me like this, I like you, I like the way I look sexy, I don't think I should have to change my dresses because of a this place that you want me to take me?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I'll let somebody else go.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
I was going to say no, because like even with speaking about the Timbs and the white tee or whatever like that, like again, we're talking about in the beginning. These are the beginning phases. We're getting to know each other, first dates. We're not going to even get into people's standards of first dates and all of that, because that'll take us down a whole other path. But it's first date. You came comfortable. She came comfortable. But again, it's also looking at how comfortable was she. But again, you may have on shorts, white beater, and a Timbs, but do you have on gym shorts with no drawers and it's just out there just greeting?
I'm out here living life.
Like, you know, is that how you're showing up? Is she showing up with the booty cutters on and both cheeks out? Like, is that how you guys are showing up to each other on a first date? So then it's like, even so, yes, it's still looking at that at the same time. And I'll just digress just a little bit, but it's still on point. I saw my first episode of Pop the Balloon. So it was this one guy, he came on there, he was comfortable. He had his flannel on and all of that, and all the girls pop. And it was just like, is this what you would wear to a first date? And so like, I was confused as to why they popped it, because it was just like, you know, he said some good stuff, but they all focused on what he had on was the flannel and this, that, and the third. And then it dawned on me that everything they had on, because they said they popped that because that's what he would have shown up to a first date knowing that he was coming there. And they all had like on these extravagant, dinner dresses and like all the freakum dresses. And I'm like, oh, is this what you guys are wearing to a first date? So then it was kind of like, okay, so he's not dressing up enough, and you guys are way too dressed up, because what if you were going for a jog, coffee, and things like that? But again, guess people don't go on coffee dates anymore. So then it's just like, so you guys are overdressing for the first date, and he's underdressing, and you didn't even get the time to even have a conversation and talk about the quality of this man because he was underdressed. And the thing is, you can help a man and upgrade his attire, but a man cannot, and it depends on if a woman allows him to, a man cannot guide you and say, hey, you can still be sexy, but cover it up some. So then it's kind of like, in a way, you can say it's a double standard there. But again, a woman can help a man elevate his style of clothing, and he still look good.
Oh, so now it's elevating.
Yeah, like
this is definitely double standard.
If you're talking about flannel, and some jeans, and this is your everyday style, then if we're going on like,
but hasn't style changed though? I mean, just being out, I've noticed.
That's what Val said earlier, Gladys. I heard that.
It changed, and
it's
even men
though. The occasion has changed. Like you're not saying, oh, again, it's the occasion. So you're not going to go to a ball or a gala with flannel on. So it's kind of like, let's go shopping type of thing. But it's the same time. And I feel like we should be asking and complimenting each other. Hey, babe, how does this dress look on me? Is it too much type of thing? And then, it should still be a conversation because you guys are still complimenting each other.
And let me,
Jessica wanted to say something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica.
Were you asking how it's a double standard if a woman tells a man how to dress?
Yeah.
Because I think how they deliver it, I've done it to my exes before, but it's not because I'm trying to be in control or anything. I just think my man should look good too, and I want to show him off, and I'm proud of the man that I have on my side. And I feel like when you do start dating, sometimes we want to look good, but eventually it comes to a time when your clothes starts changing because you've been with that person for such a long time in a relationship that even your clothing changes. You start dressing more kick back because you're no longer going at clubs. You're no longer going on. You might go on girl times, but you don't have time, especially when you're married and you have a family. Your whole closet changes compared to a single girl closet. So,
but ladies, do you buy your men clothes?
I've never bought them clothes. I like how they dress.
I have, yeah, but I mean, like, a lot of times with their money, but sometimes for listen,
that's okay. That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, but I
got no problem with that.
Money. I mean, I just give suggestions, especially when I feel like the guy that I'm dating could use a spruce up. There's been guys that did that. They were not. I mean, I dress to the nines. Nia could tell you. I mean, at least I used to. I still do. I feel like I dress very great. I do. I have great fashion. I dress nice, and I want the man that I'm dating to match my fly, which a lot of times they do, but some of them needed a little bit of direction. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
And I know some of the guys on the panel. I'm sorry.
Ladies are controlling.
Right?
Jessica controlling. Val controlling.
Let me just read this super chat real quick. Lanisha said, I just want to read that out because I know she's been posting this a long time ago. To Damien, what are the things men sacrifice? Is this masculine dynamic? This is directed to Damien.
What are the things that men sacrifice?
Yeah.
All right. This is a great question. I've got this before. What do men sacrifice? Men sacrifice a lot when they decide to be the leader of, they start to build a family, want to be a leader. Number one, they sacrifice a lot of there's a certain kind of, I can do whatever the fuck I want, anytime I want, for how long that I want, that you have with a single man. If you have single man, especially if you're single man of means, it for a while that feels great, and it feels like you have just complete autonomy to do whatever you want. And men are they willingly sacrifice that. They sacrifice access to other women's sex with other women. They willing to sacrifice their resources being just about what they want to do. When you're a leader, there's not a whole lot of things you can do just for yourself. And they commit to a life of servitude. Right now, I'm the head of my household. I am in a service position. The things I have to do are not my own. I have to make sure that there are 4 other people in this house that have a great life. So I sacrifice the ability to be foolhardy, to be flaky, to just do whatever hell I want. Hey, you know what? My friends are going on a trip to Colombia. That sounds great. Let me go. You know, you sacrifice that. And because I didn't want to just say the stuff that everybody say, yeah, I sacrificed the ability. I've sacrificed my physical being. If we're out, and I am the person who is the barrier between my family and danger 100% of the time. And that's what men always say, but I want to expand it above that. Like, and I always say this, if anybody come in, that nothing's going to happen to my family that happened to me first, you know, and I've sacrificed the ability to put myself ahead of, like, self-preservation is out the door. That's one thing I sacrifice when I take on the role as leader of the household. You know, I sacrifice my resources, my body, my autonomy, my ability to be foolhardy is gone forever when you have children and a wife and then a family to provide for.
So D, no self-love?
I don't even like the term self-love. I hate that term. I like the term self-like, because when you love is the death of objectivity. When you like yourself, you can still be objective and pick out things you need to change. When you love yourself, you get blinded to the shit. Because I know I love my kids to death. When I walk into their room and see all the macaroni necklaces, there'll be ones that are way better than my kids. And I'd be like, oh, my kid did the best macaroni necklace in here. Knowing there's ones that got like glitter and sparkles and all that shit. And my kid just did a basic one, you know, but because I love them, I lose objectivity. And the same thing can happen for yourself. You can't lose objectivity of things you need to work on. So that's why self-like, when you like somebody, a lot more critical, because you want to develop love for them. When you love them, you lose objectivity. That's why women could take back cheaters and beaters and all that kind of stuff, because they fucking love them and they lost objectivity.
Yeah, I don't like the term self-love too, because if you're a man providing and protecting for your woman, there's no more room for self-love. It's just responsibility and being accountable for your duty as a man. Because when your woman is pregnant, they got multiple children, you got responsibilities, you got duties, you got things to do. So
I hope that answered Lanisha's question.
That's that sacrifice that we have to make. We have to sacrifice our own interests and our leisure and the things that we want to do for ourselves, because our decisions and what we do in our life impacts the wife, the children. So if you're willing to be self-love and do things for yourself at the cost of the sacrifice of other people and your own responsibilities, I think that term, I do understand the meaning of that term, to love yourself so you be able to love other people. If you can't love yourself first, then you can't love other people. I do understand the concept, but I think sometimes men use it to the point where when they have responsibilities and duties, they kind of use that as a reason to avoid their responsibilities to fulfill for their kids and for their wife.
Okay, I just want to answer two questions real quick.
Wait,
number one.
Can I say something really quick, Damien? Really quick.
Yeah.
I don't using the word sacrifice, because I feel like there's a negative undertone to that, especially when it comes to being responsible. This is just what especially when it comes to handling or taking care and being a provider for your families. Why don't you use share instead, like of sacrifice? Because you could share self-love. You could share self-love. You can have love for your family and for yourself. I just feel like that's not impossible to accomplish. You said, Damon, you sacrifice your resources. No, that's a gift. You're giving your family the gift of resources. I don't think that that's a sacrifice. I think it's a gift, and I think that it's resourceful, and you should change the verbiage.
No, I'm saying sacrifice came when you sacrifice the ability to use them just for you. When you take on a role of like a leader or what have you. So it is a sacrifice, because sacrifice doesn't have to be negative. If somebody said, oh my God, he sacrificed his life to save his family, it's a heroic thing. But it's like, so it's just, it's whatever your connotations in your mind that you have out of it, have about it makes it. So I'm going to answer two questions. Number one, yes, my wife works. And the second is, it's not negative. It's a great thing. I'm doing this willingly, because now the joy I get is from what I provide to my family. And the guy who really enjoys the leadership role realizes that the building a future and a legacy is more important and more sustaining and makes me feel better than any of these things that I could have got outside as a single man. So that's why it's not negative. Yeah. It's positive.
Sacrifice. Oh, go ahead, Will.
That's just real quick about passage you, Jerk. No, it's not negative, because the men who are traditional provider protectors, they do it by choice. They're not forced to fulfill that responsibility. We want that responsibility. And the definition of sacrifice is doing things they're supposed to do even though we don't feel like doing it. I know a lot of times when we see these types of men online, we see the very successful men with the big families, with the big house, with the good lifestyle. A lot of times we see it's a glorified role, but in reality, that the leadership role is a sacrificial role. It's a hardship role. It's a role of sacrifice. These guys had to work their asses off. We don't see the guys every day waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go work a 12, 15-hour shift. So that way, make sure that the wife's hands are clean and their children has a place to sleep in. So I know sometimes when we see the final result, especially the guys who finally made it, it does seem like a very glorified role, but it is a sacrificial role. It's a role that men want to play, they want to fulfill, because the outcome we want is, as men, as provider protectors, we just want we want our family to be taken care of. So that's what makes it worthwhile. That's why it makes it worth it to wake up every single day to do the things we need to do. Because when we come home and we see our little kids running around, and we see our woman taken care of, that gives us fulfillment and purpose. That, okay, this is why I get up every single day. This is why I do what I do. This is why those days when I don't feel like going to work, but I push through, because the outcome is my family is taken care of. So it's I don't like the word share, because the guys out there, especially the younger guys, you have to let them know, look, if you want to be a masculine provider protector, it is no joke. It is a lot of responsibility. This is something that you have to earn and work and grow and progress as a man. So don't take it lightly. This is not something like okay, let me just provide and protect for 5 years, and maybe after 5 years, I don't want to do it no more because I want to share my life with somebody else. No. This is, you're sacrificing yourself for one woman with your children. You made a decision to be with this person and dedicate your whole life. So the sacrifice is a perfect term, because you're gonna do things every single day. You don't feel like doing it, but that's what distinguishes the men from the boys.
And women sacrifice too, because
I agree.
No, like, yeah, because my wife is one of the smartest people I know. She got fucking 2 degrees. She was a production manager when we got together. We both realized that she was like, I was like I said, she was making a little bit more money than me, and she was like, but she knew that when she had children came in place, she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I had to say, okay, I am going to be the dude who can be make you a stay-at-home mom in fucking California, in Bay Area, California. So I had to work my ass off to make sure that her sacrifice wasn't in vain, because she could have moved up the ladder in her career. She was working fucking a really known fashion brand. So it was like she could have moved up and all kinds of stuff. But we realized that we was lying. We didn't want anybody else like molding our kids. She wanted to be the one, and we wanted to be, because it's the way we agreed upon. So she sacrificed as well. And I didn't take that in vain. And that's what gave me motivation and to keep going. And the sacrifice was willing to sacrifice all those things I named before, because I saw the value in what she was giving up as well. And she just went back to my wife, and now that the kids are in school, she just been back to work a year and a half ago. But she sacrificed. Should we sacrifice?
No, I agree. Women sacrifice a lot. They have to give up their bodies and put their life at risk to have our babies. So,
sometimes it's not bad even to have a negative connotation. I think sometimes we forget we're human. Kids suck, man. They get on your nerves. Shit. We go out there, we work, we push our bodies to the limits. I remember one time, man, I had a pounding headache. My son had like a teacher parent conference. Shit, if you're giving up time a lot of times and stuff like that. You could have went lay down and stuff, but you push through a lot of stuff because you do it for your kids and your legacy and stuff, men and women. So I think sometimes there is a negative connotation, because it sucks. Life throws some curveballs and stuff at us. And I think sometimes we feel like we gotta make everything nice and comfortable for everybody, but it's like, nah, shit. Sometimes we need to talk about it, because that's how other people could understand what they're getting into by hey, man, some of these things suck, but you got to push through it. There's going to be highs and lows in relationships, raising kids, and it ain't always going to be peaches and we going to Disneyland and everybody's happy. It's like, hell no, they can be welling. You're going to be sacrificing some sleep. So yeah, we need to paint that picture sometime.
All right. Speaking of sacrifice. Oh, okay.
Oh, I was going to say, I think that's the whole thing of, if you already doing structure and discipline, you understand sacrifice. Because for me, my kid don't stay with me, but my PTO, I got to protect it for just in case of emergency. I have to go up and go get her and bring her back here. I sacrifice a lot. There's a lot of trips I can't take, or there's some stuff I just can't do, and I have to do some overtime. But I understand, like, because of these sacrifices, and I'm disciplined, I'm not missing much. I can do things later on when she gets older. But that's the thing, right? Because it's like when you look at it, you can't have it all, but you also got to understand what exactly do you have, and I think that's the part some people miss out on. Like, what do you have, as opposed to thinking like you're not getting a chance to do anything and you're missing out.
All right, thank you so much, Stan. I had a question I want to ask the panel, the ladies, and we're going to respond to it. I know I do understand there is a conversation. You know, there are a lot of men out there who don't know how to lead. There's a lot of men out there who are very entitled. They just think that a woman has to follow me just because I'm a male by default. Even he doesn't have to provide any body of work and evidence that he knows how to lead and some consistent work. I do understand that, but the other side of that conversation is out there. This is from the men's perspective. There are a lot of women out there who don't know how to follow. So I want to ask the women on this panel if you your ability to follow your man. If you had to be honest on this panel, are you a good follower, average follower? You suck at following? Because I've heard a lot of women on the panel come on the podcast and say, "Hey, I want a masculine leader. I want a man to lead me, but I don't want him to tell him what to do." That tells me you don't know how to follow. Right? Because you have to be a good follower. Because if and we're talking about the good men, we're talking about the healthy men, the men that has your best self-interest, right? If you come across these types of men that loves you, appreciates you, respects you, has a plan for you, and you are willing to allow him to be the leader in your life, by definition, he's the leader. You have to be the one to follow him. So, but there are a lot of women out there that are very combative. They're very independent mentality. They don't want to be told what to do. They're very
rebellious and combative,
uncompromising. So, you know, they want these men to come into their life, but their personality, or how they are, their nature, or their character, is stopping them, is repelling the very man that they want. So I want to ask the ladies if we just have an honest conversation. You know, when it comes to those types of men, if that man comes into your life, are you a good follower, or do you be honest? You know what, I've been single my majority of my life. It's hard for me to make these changes, to be a good follower, to adjust myself to this man. But I think that's a necessary conversation. I do understand every woman's experiences and situation is different. But the reality is, if you want a man to be that traditional provider, protector, be that leader, if he's going to be that leader in your life, then your role that you have to play willingly, it's something that you willing to cooperate with them, is that you have to follow and support him of where he's going to go, because he's shown you that he has a good plan and vision, and he's making good decisions for the best interest of the family. So I'll pass it to the ladies. As far as your ability to follow a man, you know, something you need to work on, or maybe you're a great follower. You're just waiting for the man to come knocking on your door. Or maybe that's something that you realize for yourself, okay, this is something I need to work on, because I am a little bit combative, a little bit uncompromising myself, as far as when I'm with the man. So let me start with you, Jessica. Your
great question, Will.
And
we need honesty.
Honesty right here.
I don't trust right away if I'm dating. I have to put him in little obstacles first and see how it goes, starting with the date. If I start getting to know the person and I'm seeing that he is a good leader, then I'm going to trust him. But it has to be earned. It can't just be, oh yeah, I'll follow you. It has to be earned. I have to feel confident enough that I can let him lead, that I feel safe. Because I think for me, I need to feel safe that he can lead. If I don't feel safe, obviously there's something that needs to work in that relationship in order to get there. But I'm being honest. I don't trust right away. I like to kind of test them out, let them lead, but still kind of watch them. And I think maybe that's the bad side of me, because maybe I do make them nervous, because maybe they can sense my energy and I'm kind of like keeping an eye on them. But I don't want to make the mistakes I made in my past too. I know how I can be, but I don't trust right away. I think for me it needs to be earned. I can't just, but if the person is right, Oh yeah, I let them lead. I would probably feel very like relieved. I wouldn't be like this all the time. I would be like, wow, I can actually relax. My man is taking care of everything, and he's guiding me, and I trust him.
Okay. All right. All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Jessica. So once he's proven himself and earned it from you, then it's smooth sailing. So
Oh
the season's
yeah,
gonna be rough in the
yeah.
beginning. The season's gonna be rough, and then once he proves he's a captain, then it's a smooth sails ahead, right?
He's
Okay.
a captain.
She said after he overcomes those obstacles.
Yeah, that's what I said. I caught that too, Jerk.
Yeah, you caught that? Yeah, that remind me of
I
that
wrote that
Ninja Warrior
down.
thing. They gotta climb one shit.
Obstacles.
American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
How is he gonna lead it? He can go through the
Survivor.
Take it in the frame.
All right. No worries, Jessica. No worries, Captain. All right, fellas. Remember, all storms will pass. Just keep riding that storm, fellas. Okay. I'll pass it to you, Gladys. I pass it to you, Gladys. Gladys, same thing. When it comes to your ability to follow a man, is it is that something that you're pretty good at, or something you need to work on? What do you think, Gladys?
I would say I'm pretty open to following, but also it's not someone new I just met, right? But some men you could tell that they are good leaders. Like I just met someone and he just has it, and I'm not even putting that many boundaries because you could tell he's a good man. He has a son and everything, and I'm pretty open to follow like someone like that when you know that they have healthy boundaries themselves, and they're like hardworking, and so you're more receptive to following them and being more open to what they want to lead you to. But just not anybody. If it's just some guy, you kind of know which ones are not the ones you would follow. If anything, you take steps back from those. But yeah, but somebody that have strong boundaries. They're a strong man. You could tell they're masculine. You could tell they have healthy behavior. You're a little bit more open and more receptive to being open and letting them lead. So I have no problem. I think it's really easy for me, if anything. I mean, I haven't been single for that long, but I've always allowed my man to lead. I'm just a little bit more open to it.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Gladys, I know I met you when you came here to San Francisco, but from my opinion, your temperament, you have a very good temperament to be a good follower. Just meeting you. So I'll pass it to you, Nia. Nia, same thing. Are you wild out there, or are you really a good follower? When it comes across a good man.
Nia, I hope
So
you're drinking
I'm-
water out of that glass, because either that or you getting super drunk on this panel right now.
This is the soda water. Okay.
Okay, I'm like, she over here getting twisted on the panel.
Yeah, I was like, she turned them Cosmos or martinis up, which one. Shoot. She calling out sick tomorrow.
No. So I feel like me personally, like I've been single for a solid amount of time, and that has made it hard for me to follow because I've had to do a lot on my own. And I've been in relationships before where I've wanted to trust, but I wasn't comfortable. And then it eventually just didn't work out because I do want someone to be able to lead me. I want to feel comfortable with a man leading me. So I believe that if I'm in a good situation and I meet the right man, I hope I'm not too hard, and I can follow. That's what I want. But, with time that passes, it's harder for me personally because I have to do a lot on my own. So I've had to depend on just myself. So
Hey, Dee,
ideally I like to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay, go
No,
ahead.
I'm going to ask the guys that are married. So, what steps do you think that she needs to do to start if she's in a relationship?
Wait, before we get the married guys, let me just finish with Coach and Val, and I'll pass it back to you guys. I got you, Stan. Coach, same question. When it comes to your ability to follow a man, something that you're pretty good at, something you need to work on. What do you think?
I would say it's something I'm good at. I know some of the guys were on the last panel that I was on. So I'm a widow. So married at 21, widowed right before my 29th birthday. So I've been married, so I know, and I know we, sometimes get turned off by words, but I know the roles. So then it's kind of like I miss being led type of thing. Like I'm a boss in my professional world. When I come home in my personal life, I don't want to have to be the one to make the decisions on where we're going to eat. I don't want to have to. It's certain decisions I don't want to have to make when I'm in my personal life. And so that I do miss the whole where are we going for an outing and this, that, and the third, or just coming home or waking up on the weekend. It's like, all right, you and the kids get up, we're going here, there, wherever. So like I don't have a problem, and I actually do miss it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Coach. And then Val, same question. Are you a good follower, or you make it hard for your man?
Stanley, we don't need the faces, but thank you. So I've been single for a while as well, but I've dated, and I've dated some leaders, and a lot of my good friends that have seen me in relationships are always like, "You are so submissive in this relationship. Like it's night and day." I know it sounds crazy because I have a very bold personality. I lead myself. I have really just accomplished, self-made, done everything on my own, basically, but in reality, when it comes to men, I would love to submit to my man and be a follower, but he has to be a good leader. And I'm sorry, guys, but the talent is lacking, low key, high key, actually. And so I just feel like ultimately, if the guy is a good person and has and exudes leadership skills and makes me feel safe, I would open up. I will be submissive. I will do what it takes, and obviously, like, again, I love to communicate. I over communicate it, but I feel like anybody could get their whatever they convey a message. A man that wants to be a leader can convey a message to his wife that he wants, or to the woman that he's dating to follow. Like you said, the theme of the entire show tonight was your approach, right? And so I just feel like that's an easy thing to do. I can turn it on and turn it off, but ultimately I would love to be a follower for the man that I'm dating, or my husband. I would love to follow my husband.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Val.
Here, I have a question really quick though.
Yeah, go ahead.
For you specifically, and maybe you could kind of trickle it into the rest of the guys. Give me two strong characteristics of women that you feel are like strong, compatible followers for you, particularly, or in a relationship for healthy men that are leaders.
For me, and I'll pass it to the fellas. For me, there's only two qualities I look for to kind of test to see if the woman's very submissive. Number one, she's coachable. That's number one. If she's willing to take criticism and constructive criticism for the benefit of the relationship. If I'll be able to have those conversations with her, but she doesn't take it as a negative. If she's coachable, that's a plus for me. And number two, if she's cooperative, right? If she's very cooperative, like it's not she's always solution oriented when we have arguments where, okay, we have an argument, we have something, but we can figure out a solution to solve it and keep it moving forward. But if a woman is very uncooperative, if they're always unwilling to figure out a solution, they're always chaotic, always causing a lot of drama, but we're not trying to figure out anything in the relationship, I think that for me tells me that, okay, maybe this person is not really a good follower. So for me, just being coachable, it's easy to deal with somebody if they're coachable. We can have conversations. Hey, and the same thing for me. Like she can hold me accountable for the things I need to improve on. Okay, I got you. I need to work on this. And the same thing for me, especially as a leader. If I'm the one gonna be making decisions for the family, I got to be able to have a conversation with you and be honest with you, and not just get mad at get your feelings hurt every single time. We have to have a conversation, especially when it comes to the improvement of the behavior to benefit both of us in the relationship. So coachability is one for me, and being cooperative. So if I meet somebody, I've met some people that are not coachable. That's just a turnoff. And then I met some people that are not very cooperative. There's always pushback, uncompromising. They're not always solution oriented. They always want to cause drama. So that shows me, okay, you're just going to make my life harder. So I'm probably not the guy for you. So God bless the next man that's going to take your wife. God bless him. But that's me. So coachability and being cooperative. Those are the two things I look for I'll pass it to the fellas. What's your 2 traits?
All right, I'm gonna say intelligence and appreciative. And I think the reason why those are, I'll say, important for me, because I think a person that has intelligence, they're aware of things that go on. Same thing with appreciation. They're aware that the person that they're with, is doing things for the right reason, and they don't take stuff for granted. And I think this is just a good trait for people in general, because I think that's the issue in a lot of times where we're talking about leadership. It's like, that guy, sometimes he's, when Dane was breaking down the sacrifice, you're looking at things because it's like you want to move up your family and stuff. You live in your head a lot if you're a good leader, because you're looking for opportunities. You're constantly like I said, looking for those opportunities, living in your head and stuff. And I think sometimes people can misread that. So I think somebody that has that intelligence, they're able to see, like, you know what, that's a good person that I have. I'm not going to take that for granted. I understand, hey, he's doing this thing. I'm able to spot that. And I think a coach was kind of talking about it, being observant. So I think if you have those 2 characteristics, you're able to observe that and appreciate it and not take it for granted. Sorry if I was ran.
Thank you so much, Dirk. Stan. All right,
Val, I want you to know I've written it down. So I got my notes. All right. For me, 1, she has a good relationship with her father and men in the family, because I know the difference when a woman loves a man or she just sees me as an accessory. And I don't like being used as an accessory. 2, she's a leader herself. So I'm a firstborn child. So drop into leadership and everything else. So a woman that understands leadership makes it a lot better for me to be in a relationship. So it was not always arguing or whatever, and no jealousy. And I like those relationships better.
Okay. Stan, thank you so much. And then Damien.
I agree with 2 things you said, Coach, but that's a big one on me. She's openly willing to. One of the things my wife said, that she didn't say it in this express way, I'm paraphrasing, but she basically said, I appreciate what you're doing. So the things that you need to feel whole and feel like a man, I'm going to learn those things and religiously do those things to make you feel like I appreciate the things you're doing. And because that's my second word, I want to remember who is grateful. It's like, and that is hard because a lot of women out there are still, they're with dudes, but still lamenting off stuff they didn't have. Like, oh my God, I could have been with that other dude, or I could have had this house, or I could have had this car, or whatever like that. Because, my wife dated a guy who may or may not have an Oscar sitting on this shelf. And she could be sitting up there like, oh my God, I could have been with that guy and doing this, that, and the other, or what have you. And she, to this day, she lets it be known to the world that she is very grateful for the life that she has with me and the things that we're able to do together and what I was able to provide for her. She didn't think she was going to be able to marry a guy and be able to stay at home for such a long period of time when our kids were young and raise our kids. And then go back to work if she wanted to, not because she had to, and she's so grateful that she lets me know in her deeds and her words and stuff like that. And it fuels me to keep going, to keep pushing, because there's nothing that'll sap a dude's momentum than an ungrateful woman. I tell you, 10 out of 10 times, if your woman ain't grateful, you're going to be the most unmotivated dude on the planet.
Yes, sir.
So those are the words that I think makes a really good person to a really good follower as a spouse.
Shout out to Val. That was a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Hey, I had a question for the ladies before we conclude the podcast. Because Jessica brought up like putting obstacles in this way to test them to see if it's a leader. So I'm curious. Here's the thing. I do understand that you have to do a shit test, right? I do understand that you have to like test them. But I think Damien, you said this on a previous podcast, and I think it's a great point. He said that if you want to know a man that's a leader, the best way to know if he's a leader is if he already is a leader on his own life, like he's already leading himself.
Yes.
So if you see him, if you're with a man, whether you see him in a social setting, whether it was a friend, family member, or maybe that's somebody at work, But if you see a man that he's already a leader in his own life, he gets up every single day, fulfills his responsibilities, consistent, he's very disciplined. Nobody has to tell him to do things he needs to do. He just does it because he's leading himself. Then that can, and if, of course, you witness that, observe that maybe in a couple of months, a couple of years, that you know this guy, then that pretty much gives you evidence that this person is already a leader because leaders are already leading themselves in their own life, right? So if you come across that type of guy, you don't really need to shit test him. You don't really need to put obstacles in his way purposefully to make his life harder so that way he can pass the test.
No, I'm not. You'll be surprised how many fake guys wanna show that image, and they're nothing but they're representing themselves.
I'm gonna tell you how.
Months later, you start like, I've been catfished. Like you're
I'm gonna tell you
you were.
the easiest way to tell.
So yes, after my experience, I do need to not trust. There's so many fakes out there, a lot of sins, and Gladys knows what I'm talking about. Because I was talking to a guy who made it sound like he was very put together. He was driving a Corvette. Yes. And next thing I find out after a lot of things, I was like, everything was a lie. He was in debt. And he even asked me if I would loan him money. I was like, excuse me? Yeah. No, definitely cut off and block. Yeah.
The easiest way.
So there's a lot of men out there that have put me in this situation.
Fake persona.
It made me very cautious now.
So many men
because a lot of guys can act like they have it all together, but they really don't.
They don't.
So that's why I have to kind of test them out.
There's a way without putting obstacles. There's the easiest way to test if a dude is really about the things he said, really about his business and really about leading and has a plan is like number one is he has a plan. If he has a consistent plan for long term, whether you in it or not, he has a plan for his own personal success, and then he sees you as a benefit to that or a help way to get to that success. If you can, and the test is this: if he says I'm focused, I want to do this or that, but if he's easily pulled off his purpose, you know he's full of shit. Like if you say, "No, baby, don't go to work today. No, just kick it with me. Let's just call in sick or whatever." He ain't a man about his business. He ain't on his purpose, and he's going to be easily distracted from any plan that he may think he has. The dude who has a plan, who has is decisive about it, it's like, no, baby, I can't miss work. I have to be there because this is part of the plan. This is going to get us to where we need to get. So that I think, and I tell that to a lot of women, and I'm like, dude, if he says he's about business, try to get him to get it to not handle that business by saying, let's go stay at home one day or whatever. If he's pulled off of it, if you can easily talk him into that, she ain't about his plan.
Yeah.
I'll add to that and say it still goes back to being observant and an active listener, because a lot of times it's telltale signs. People can only put up a facade for so long, but if you're actively listening and not just hearing them and hearing the words and the sweet nothings, but actively listening. So if their words and their actions are not aligning up, if it's I don't do this, I never do this, but you see them doing the things that they don't ever do, those are red flags. That shows lack of consistency. And it's just it's how they move throughout the relationship. If there's no consistency and hey, I'm gonna call you back, or are you free on this time? We're gonna go to this date. If they're not keeping commitments, if things are changing, those are all signs, because a leader is going to make sure that they follow through. Mm-hmm. A leader is going to make sure that they're communicating. And as we all have agreed, a leader is going to serve. So then there are certain qualities that a good leader has. And then also a good leader will never come out and lead with, I'm a leader. You rarely hear a good leader say, I'm a leader. You hear others call a leader, but you never hear a leader say, I'm a leader.
or alpha. I'm an alpha. You never hear that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And all of that. I'm an alpha male. And granted, I get we're talking about it now, but you never really hear a man who's about what he says or anybody who's about what they say that has to go around beating their chest and self-proclaiming that they are what they are. You will see it. The actions are going to speak louder than the words.
For sure. That's a good man. That's something my dad always tried to instill in me. He was like, don't ever try to live your life trying to be a great man. Just be a man. They'll figure that shit out when you're dead. You know what kind of man you were or what have you. Just be a man. Don't try to be an alpha or leader or whatever. Just do the right. Do what's beneficial to the most amount of people, and they'll figure that shit out when you're gone.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're getting away. That's where like we're in this space, and this is just me from the outside looking in, because like it's been 5 years for me. So it's kind of like I'm looking out there and I'm like, either, you know, me like, and I've been hearing this, it's like either men are out here telling women or telling everybody why they're this high level man, because now we're talking about high level and high value and this, that, and the third. So it's the high value man. And then it's when you're this status, you get the pick of the litter and all of this, and this. And then you have those men. Then you have men that's trying to manipulate you into polygamy. And then talking about you've been indoctrinated into believe that a man's supposed to be like, it's so much chaos going on that it's hard to sift through all that stuff to realize what's genuine. And that's why sometimes you just have to disengage and just really be observant and just, you know, put yourself in spaces where you can attract and align with like-minded individuals.
And last question, thank you so much, Coach. But last question, I ask the ladies. I'm just curious, what kind of shit test do you do purposely to test your man to see if he is really about that life, or is he really that man that he claims he is? Have you ever done that before? And you just want to share this, to share like one?
I do not play games.
I knew Val was going to answer first. I was like, Val, I'm trying to jump all over that.
Yes, the game, the thought. This is literally a waste of energy for me. The thing about me personally, and a lot of people that know me do tell me, like, damn, you didn't even give it a chance, Val. Like, I'm out. I'm literally out. There's one inconvenience. And I ask a lot of questions. When I'm dating somebody, I ask a lot of questions, and I feel like that's valid. I'm getting to know you. We're getting to know each other. Ask me questions. I'm an open book. And especially if we consider each other to be partners in the future and to make a family or to like build together, I expect you to ask me questions. And I expect you to be open-minded when I ask you the same questions. I very rarely ever talk about like money, ask them about how much they're making, or any of those type of questions. I think that's just like tacky, to be honest with you, unless there's like a hardship and I'm like, what happened to like I'll ask those questions if I have to. But ultimately, it is not my goal or my end goal to play a game or try to take a shit test or do some type of like loops or anything like that with these men. I just be honest, come correct, and let me know what you're actually looking for, because that's the fucking test. Like, what are you really here for? Because a lot of these guys are out here. Will, I've said this before on this on our chat or on this, fake personas. They come up here and literally fake an entire persona just to get you in bed, and it's absolutely like it's disgusting. And so it's like, show me what you're really made of. What do you want from me? And it's like, I just want to fuck. And it's like, okay, that's my choice if I want to move forward with that or not. That's it. But other than that, I am not going through hoops and loops testing these motherfuckers. Excuse my language.
Well, Val, suppose he's in training. Suppose he's on his way of being masculine. Will you still take him?
He needs to not date. He needs to not date.
Nah.
I think I'm an excellent woman. Why do I need to not date?
No. I said the guy.
No, not you. We're talking about the man. We're talking about man. We're talking about Stan. We're talking to Stan.
You need to focus on himself, Stan.
Stan, Val, that wasn't about you. We were saying, he said, what if the man is on his way to be masculine? I said the man needs to not date till he gets to his journey.
He needs to work on himself. And the thing is, the women are going to be here. You're going to be better. You're going to
You can't be in the middle. There's no in between. Either you masculine or you not.
Or not. Yeah.
When you are ready to date and you are prepared and you are confident in yourself and you have all the things, there is going to be a pool of beautiful people that you can dance with. Okay. Until then, sit your ass in the books and focus on yourself. And that's what you need to do. It's crazy, but don't fake an entire persona just to bag some chicks. It's pathetic, especially at this big age. I mean, it's incredible, you guys. It's crazy shit.
Hey,
So-
hey, ladies, have you ever tried to see if you can walk all over your man?
No.
No, it's
She has.
This is like I just did it.
Well, Jessica
I didn't
said-
try. I did it.
Jessica said yes. You
I
tried it
have.
before, Jessica? You tried it before,
Because I
Jessica?
need to know I can trust him to lead. That's another example.
Like one of her tests, she needs to know what they could provide for her, like clean her house, come and clean her.
Whoa! Did you just say clean her house? Wait! I'm sorry. You had a dude come clean your house.
Oh my
I
god.
didn't ask him to. He volunteered to.
No, she didn't ask him. She just sees how open they are, and if
Was he
they-
living there?
Wow.
No.
Oh goddamn!
Wait. How long did you date before you cleaned your house? Was it week one?
Oh god!
How long have what?
How long did you date before he cleaned your house?
Oh, well, this person I was on and off for 4 years. But in the beginning, it wasn't good. It wasn't where I wanted to be. So I told him later, I'm gonna go get myself out there because I'm not the type of girl who's gonna stay behind and cry tears. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it in the gym and work on myself. But I'm not the person who's gonna be crying over a guy. Just don't do that. I just kind of move forward. So he noticed that I was not gonna be like the other girls he probably had, that they were gonna chase him. I'm only gonna chase the right guy that I know is worth.
No, we talking about how did we clean your house?
No, we're trying to figure out how did you tell him to come clean your house? Did you just
because
tell him, hey, come clean the house?
I got hit by a car. So I got hit by a car. So he wanted to take care of me and walk my dogs and get me food, and I couldn't clean because I got hit by a car when I was
Okay,
walking.
that's different.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's a good man. That's a good man.
Okay.
He volunteered.
Oh, that's
There's
different.
a lot of guys that
I didn't tell him to do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that
Yeah,
think, ask your dad, ask your brother. So I mean, honestly, that's very nice of him to do that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of guys who wouldn't
left a
say
very
anything about any of those things. They would just
you
be
left
like,
a very important part out of that. You were
Yeah, so
infirmed.
for me,
You got hit by a car.
Aw, okay, that's sweet.
Really
Okay,
nice.
that's
I didn't got
okay.
hit by a car.
Okay.
Like,
Man.
so that's sweet.
Yeah, so nobody on this panel have tried the ladies. You never tried to like just see what you can get away with and try to see if you can walk all over him.
I haven't.
Nia said, yeah.
I mean,
Nia's mouth going to say,
no,
yeah.
no. I'm saying no. I'm thinking about a situation that I had where somebody was interested in me, and I had things that I needed to be done at the house, just various like things that needed to be fixed, and it was like fairly new, and I didn't let him because I just was like, you're just trying to, I don't know, I'm just like scary like that. Like he's just trying to come to my house, and a lot of my friends were like, just take him up on his offer. He's being genuine. And I'm like, but I don't know if he's being genuine. I feel like he just wants to come to my house.
No, he just wants to prove himself useful. That's what dudes want to do. They want to provide utility for women, because one of the first things women I think women want to know is how useful is this motherfucker's going to be, whether it's not through.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. I mean, I definitely appreciated the gesture. I just a lot of my friends were like, it didn't last long enough for him to come over and fix anything. But the gesture was appreciated. But yeah, I felt like he just wanted to come over.
Yep.
Smart move, Nia. He was a serial killer.
Oh my god.
I don't know what was going on, but I didn't trust it. Needed some time.
He wanted to take his shirt off while he was hammering, and you'd be like, "Ooh, look at that!"
You better guess.
Yeah,
what's
so
that
that
thing?
was
What's that thing like? The spy that you screen your house for for cameras and stuff. Like
Yeah.
You better get that detector to double check.
Right. So
Will, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Please.
Have you guys, I'll be really quick. Have you guys ever, did something, a nice gesture to get what you wanted out of a woman?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yes. What do you talk about nice gesture? Like
what Nia said, like hanging somebody's TV or
nah.
carpet.
I'll send you the lows quick.
Yeah, I have. Because like I said, men, from my history, women like useful men. Like I remember, you know what? And I'll give you a perfect example. And this is an example I have my wife. We went on a date. Like it was like we got a strange history. Like we dated for a month, then didn't see each other for 4 years, and then got back together and got married soon thereafter. But so we were on our first date, and we get back to her car, and somebody had broken into her car. Her windows busted. And the job I had a lot of connections with insurance. I was working for an insurance agency, so we had electric connections with like auto repair place and window places. So I'm like on the phone, like, "Hey, Steve, can you come up here? This is the kind of car she got. Blah blah blah. Can you what you call it? It's fine." She's like, I was like, you know, she offered to pay for it, but she had insurance and ended up paying for it, and she was just like, you know, she just loved the back. She was like, "Rang, the way you took charge and like, you know, just handled the whole thing because I didn't know what to do." Blah 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 was super impressive, and that's the kind of what dudes want to do. They want to be showed like I have more utility than I'm not. You know, there's other depth to me than just another dude trying to get in your pants. You know, if you're serious about the person.
End of it in mind, you did it because you actually cared for this woman.
Yeah, but like I said, I do it because I knew she was a good person, and like I ain't gonna front. You know, I wanted to be impressive.
Okay.
You know, it was like, hey, you know, it's impressive that I can handle things like something happens out of blue and I can just jump in and handle stuff and take care of it in a couple hours as opposed to her trying to figure it out for the whole day or whatever.
Okay. Stanley, I know you just rough a dog.
Okay, look, I'm going to say yes, and yes, I pay for it later. So.
Boomerang back.
All right.
I'll say again.
Boomerang. Karma.
I won't say boomerang. No.
But you pay for it later, right?
I would say it's a thin line between love and hate experiences. So yeah, I got that one. Slash tires, windows busted.
Oh, Jesus.
Damn, Stanley.
Yeah. So yeah, I get it. But sometimes that's what you got to do to eliminate the competition.
Slash the tire or beat a
No. I'm acting nice to eliminate the competition, but you find out that you're not the only one to act nice to. Always have a plan B, C, D, and E.
I'm weak. Bye.
I was single. I have that right.
You test them.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with that dating philosophy. I feel like this. Only time you can expect any kind of fidelity out of me when we were dating is if once we have sex. Then you can expect fidelity out of me. Because if I decide to have sex, when I want to commit to you, whatever, you're the only one I'm gonna be hooking up. You're the only one I'm gonna be having sex with. But you know, that's the only time. But if we just going on those first few 4 or 5 dates and nothing's happening, I may have a date the next day, you know, whatever, because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much. But yeah, we have come to the end. Man, shout out to the panel one more time. We had a great show, great panel tonight. Thank you so much. I really enjoy the panel tonight, ladies. You brought great energy, great feedback, great conversation. Had a lot of fun. But shout out to everybody in the live chat. Thank you so much. A lot of you guys watched the entire stream. I appreciate you guys watching different platforms. And I'll pass it back to you guys. Thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for coming back, Jessica, Gladys. Good to have you, Nia, here for the first time, and Val here for the first time on the virtual pod. And then Coach, always good to have you, fellas, as well. But what's your final thoughts and takeaways from tonight's conversation, and how can they find you? And I'll start with the lady. I'll start with you, Gladys. Final thoughts and how can they find you, Gladys?
How can what? Like
your final thoughts from tonight's conversation? How can they find you? If you want to be found, if you don't want to.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I already got found. No, I'm joking. But
some of social media, like,
but you want to put an obstacle in the way. You want to make it hard for that man.
Somebody else might want you on their platform, on their podcast or what have you.
Well, for me, that's what you mean. I thought you
meant you don't have to.
Found by a man.
Whatever you want.
I hope I already got found, but no, I mean, I you learned a lot coming to these podcasts with you. So I've learned a lot myself, even about myself, so putting some boundaries, some more obstacles for myself, like Jessica says, but not as hard as Jessica. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit easier. Mine, I just watch and I stare and I'm observant, and you kind of know, right, from a good man and not a good man. Why the ones that are not, I just kind of back off versus the ones that are good. You could tell a masculine, healthy man. Like I know, like all you guys seem to give that impression, which has been very helpful to me. But I think this podcast, the topic today, was very even helpful for me. So it's been a nice thing.
No worries. Thank you so much, Gladys. Thank you for coming back on. Pass it to you, Jessica. All right. What's your final thoughts, and how can they find you?
Well, I learned, like Gladys, I learned a lot from all of you guys. Maybe when I find the right guy, I won't put no obstacles. If it's a masculine who's confident and can keep me safe. So yeah, I like coming here. Thank you guys for having me here. And you can find me at Divaholic73 in my Instagram.
All right. For all the fellas, stay strong out there. If you're gonna test the water,
Exactly. Eat your Wheaties. That's what work for you. Got that work for you.
Get that breakfast. Thank you so much, Jessica. Pass it to you, Nia. Nia, final thoughts. Thank you for coming on for the first time. How can they find you, Nia?
Thanks, Carson. I think just hearing the men and the women with their opinions. I feel like I hear a lot of female opinions. I have a lot of my girlfriends, and me and Val have a lot of discussions, and but it's nice to hear men's feedback. And yeah, I had a great time. You can find me on my Instagram. It's Nia Bia. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Nia. Thank you for jumping over tonight's panel. Coach, thank you so much for being on pod as always. Final thoughts, and how can they find you, Coach?
Thank you for having me. I would say final thoughts. It's definitely important to have these kind of conversations and be transparent. Social media today is really driving a wedge between healthy relationships and just distorting the view and the value of healthy relationships, and even real healthy and masculine men and women's role in their desire to lead and to be led. And I think we just need to have more conversations about this. And I'm just happy to know that there are still traditional men out here that are willing to lead a family, commit to one woman without posing the idea that one man should have a village of women and all of those things that are that are being put out there. Maybe that's a topic for another day. But yeah, so that's my final takeaway on that. How people can find me: Facebook, Shantae McCullum; Instagram, Coach_Shantae.McCullum.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach. As always a pleasure to hear you on the pod. And Val, good to see you again. Final thoughts, and how can they find you, Val?
Thank you so much for having me, Will. Kava Club. My final thoughts that I would love to touch on, it's something that I've been thinking about, actually, that I didn't really talk about today, but I even can take a page out of this book. I came across this video, and it was like, people were like, oh, most men do this, most women do this, when they're married or not, or are single. They're just like, most women, most men. There are 8 billion people on the planet. You don't know most people. You know a handful of the few experiences and people that you've come across. And so you don't know, you're not scratching a surface of anybody. So it's really important to get rid of the bias and kind of stop and just, have an open mind when it comes to people and their experiences, or the experiences you want to have with other people, instead of, kind of just judging people by a cover, or by a specific trade or an experience. And so it's really important to be open. And again, I can be more open. You can find me on all social media platforms. My social media name is Val's Too Bad with 2 Ds. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Val. And I do appreciate your questions. It was definitely great
I'm just kidding.
on the panel. Pastor Fellas, I'll start with you. Jerk, final thoughts, and how can you find you, Jerk?
Nah, great conversation. It's always good to have these conversations with respectful people, intelligent people. So Val, you had me a little nervous at first, man, but you came through. You was cooking at the end. So shout out to Val. I would just say this to the men. You know, if you're going to an upscale event, get you a nice wife beater, get those Timbs, free ball it. Live your life, man. Don't let these chicks control you like that. But that's it, Will. Shout out to you. Great conversation.
You are terrible.
Thank you so much, Jerk. And pass it to you, Stanley. Thank you for jumping on as a guest. Final thoughts. How can they find you, Stanley?
Oh, no problem. Hey, Jerk, you doing the your body, your choice, huh? Okay. To find me, I'm on Instagram as Big Herc510. Big Herc510. One thought that came in, so you guys know I've written it down. The biggest thing I'm getting out of the conversation tonight is like I think the goal is partnership with limited masculine expression, and like that's what came up. It's more of a partnership. That's what the ladies want. They want partnership. They don't want so much leadership. I would like, the second part. I know
what you talking about, Willis.
I know, but I still want like D and SJ to answer the question for like Nia, like what steps she'll need to take to trust, because there's women like Nia that don't know what they can do while they're dating. So it's good to like have a big brother like you two guys. Just give her some quick tips to help her maneuver in the future.
She didn't ask for nothing, so we ain't gonna give her nothing until she asked for it. Because if she asked for it, then no, she's ready for it.
Maybe we do a topic on that, because I do like the question.
Gems, my brother.
Yeah,
No,
she didn't ask
we
for
have
nothing.
to move forward. I'm just
Because I don't mean no. I'm saying she may not need our assistance, but I'm saying if she asked for it, I'd be more than happy.
It's on the sheet. It's on page 4. I had to come back to it, so I'll make sure that we didn't forget that part.
I think that's a whole new subject, because trust in relationships.
Yeah, trust. How to
You
build
pull
trust.
back up, Nia.
How to build trust. That's a good topic.
Yeah.
I got
It's a great topic.
I got a lot to say on that. So.
Quick tip, but it's definitely another discussion. But
Nia, how to build trust? Invite yourself to your house. That's how you build trust.
I don't know. Nia's kind of guarded, man.
She's just sitting back trying to see how the situation.
Yeah,
She'll get comfortable. She come on a couple more times. She'll get comfortable. Next thing you know, I'll be like, be quiet, Nia. After a while.
All right.
But then the question is like, if women become more guarded, are they ever going to be open to a relationship? If that's where we're going as a society? As a society, if we become more guarded, like for all genders, right? Are we ever going to be open? Like we all have these
a
boundaries.
lot of you guys are screwed. You're gonna have to get robots, and that's the honest truth. No, I'm joking.
This is final thoughts, Dan, not a continuation.
Stan was like, "Look, I'm squeezing this question."
He's like, "My final thought is a whole nother subject."
Yeah.
Part
He's
3.
like, "We'll drop the link. We got another live popping."
But Stan, as always, thank you so much for being part of the panel. Always appreciate you jumping on, Stan. And Damon, final thoughts, and how can they find you?
Yeah, this was a great topic. It's a great panel, and I just like my final thoughts on the subject is leadership without consideration is tyranny. So you got to watch that. If the person aren't considering you and what you want and your opinions, experience, and insights, then you might be with somebody who might end up being a little bit tyrannical at the end of it. But if anybody want to get a hold of me, they can go to my IG. It's Can I Get Some Podcast? Can I Get Some Podcast? You'll see clips from previous shows, previous topics I talked about. If I ever get off my ass and start hosting shows again, you'll see the link to my next shows or what have you like that. But anybody who's curious about my life, there's snapshots on there. So there you go.
All right. Damon, as always, thank you so much. But fellas, ladies, thank you so much for making your time. Shout out to everybody on the chat. Clever Girl Reading, Gold Sun. A lot of you guys jumped up at the end. Lanisha, thank you so much for watching the entire stream. And don't forget, this show is public. So if you guys want to jump on virtually, it's open to everybody. So the link in the description below. So if you missed it, you want to jump on next time, just like and subscribe so when it notifies you and go live next time, you can jump on and be part of the panel. But thank you so much for having open conversations. Everybody, you guys all have a great night. Peace, y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
What's up, ladies?